Space, the final frontier. This is a review show for Star Trek The Next Generation. Its continuing mission to explore interesting plot points, to seek out goofs and continuity errors, to boldly go where no other TNG review show has gone before. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the TNG review show. Hey, and you might have heard a couple of clips and a shuffle in the background as I gave that intro out, as Maz and Bob was hurriedly tidying away all her makeup and things. Not that Maz was running late this evening. But to say that was up to the wire is a bit of an understatement. Look how calm she looks. Look how beautiful and calm.
As expected from a lovely Starfleet officer.
Exactly. Well presented. Well presented. Good evening, everyone. It's us from the vault. With another TNG review show. Yes, we're talking about Star Trek The Next Generation again, because it is Wednesday. And we'll be consigning another episode of TNG to our vault. Along with me this evening is my co-hosts, Maz McBob, Tavigins Turner, and Chief Sean. Good evening, guys. How are you this week? Maz McBob, how are you?
I'm good. Nothing to report. Normal week, lots of work. Same old.
Same old. Nothing to report.
I did go around and see G-Star and his lovely husband LJ on Sunday. And then
how's LJ
doing? And there's biscuit cheesecake. Very nice.
Very nice.
He's covering really well. He's just so glad that he's had his operation now and is able to get on the road to recovery.
Fantastic. That's
Really
good
relieved.
news. Good news. Pengo!
There's lots of echo on my mic, apparently.
I haven't got... No, I've done it right this week. Yes, no, I've done everything right on my end.
Have you still have your volume on there?
No, mine's muted.
Okay. All right.
Let me check.
Just me, is it?
No.
Testing.
Yeah, no, I haven't made the same mistake this week as I did last week. I've turned the right things on and the right things off.
Oh, I'll try and talk quietly.
Oh yeah, we're definitely getting doubling up. Yeah.
Hang on. It's a
How
whole
are you,
different.
Tubby?
It's a whole different setting this time. That I think I haven't done this. This is Windows keeps changing my settings on my Streamlabs application.
Naughty Windows.
Is everything a bit better now, guys? Let me know if that's improved
Windows
anything.
11, just a right pain. I don't know what they did with the start menu. I try and install my own version of a start menu, and then it uninstalls it with an update, and you have to install it again. It's like, just they really work hard to try and hide the things you're looking for. Like, it's like, God forbid you might go into the control panel and try and change something. They just don't want you to do it.
Sounds good now, according
Sounds
to
good, yeah.
Ruth.
No, I know.
Only suffered.
It's
That's a quick fix.
It's the settings in Streamlabs that keeps resetting what is my desktop audio device and what my mic device is. It just keeps swapping it around.
Yeah, because when we were backstage earlier, the same thing happened to me. It defaulted back to my my webcam instead of my microphone.
Yeah. So apologies for that, but hopefully it hasn't experienced it. You know, one day I'll start one of these streams off, and it'll all go well.
It wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't.
We wouldn't be us if we didn't have these little glitches.
No, it adds to our charm.
Yes.
Yeah. Tubbikins Turner, how's your week going?
I'm doing very good. I'm ready to go home, but I'm also in that stage where, can I stay for at least like 5 more days? But I can accept that I've had a lovely holiday, and I've been spoiled rotten by Pinko and her family. It's fabulous. Her mother makes the best Jaffa food, and and she filled us up last night.
Oh. Sad to go home, but you know, it's nice to go home too, isn't it? Yeah.
I miss the babies.
Yeah. Yep, Tavi, you are a little quiet. I don't know if you can turn your mic up there at all. I don't know if that's a doable thing, but
I don't know what the weather is like in Norway, but it's probably pushing 50 degrees because most of Europe is in a bit of an old heat wave. I mean, here in Ireland, we've got some clouds. We're quite comfortable, but I think the UK is the same. But I would if you're on the continent, as they say, my commiserations are with you. It doesn't sound pleasant.
Maybe we got like very high winds, so maybe it was cool there, and probably when I get back, it'll be hot as hell.
That's much better, Tavi, by the way. Yes, much better. Sean, how's your week?
Yeah, fine. I'm off this week. I'm getting a few bits done. It's amazing how busy you get when you don't have to do work, and then you have to catch up on all the jobs that you said you were going to do when you were off work. You end up being busier than if you just, went in and did your shift. So in the middle of repainting my office and getting a few things done and acting as my dad's tech support and whatever else needs to be. He rang me earlier because he accidentally changed the source in the skybox and he couldn't figure out how to put it back again. So
Family tech support, you know that role, don't you?
Yes, know that role. Yes, very good.
I felt a bit hot and flustered earlier, so I didn't face red wine, so I've got iced cider instead.
Today I have a Casillero Del Diablo Merlot. So that's my blood wine for this evening. So everybody's in shock, I remembered.
Yeah.
And you've got a 19 Crimes. One of my faves.
Oh, have you? Oh, very nice.
Did you know there should be a QR code somewhere on that you can scan it with your phone and it animates the picture on the front?
Oh, cool.
Oh, we do have that.
Yeah.
Is that a wine?
Yeah. So you then point your phone at the bottle, and as you're looking at it, the character on the front sort of comes to life on your phone. It's quite good. He's going to try it in real time. Give it a go.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
Allowed to fail.
We'll see.
Do you have to actually point it at the bottle for it to
Yeah,
come
you
in?
actually have to then point it at the bottle and
Hold it on
yeah.
the bottle.
Oh.
It becomes like augmented reality, right?
It is like augmented reality. Yeah.
It brought me to a page to scan another QR code. Okay,
I've got.
It
While
does
he's
work. I've
doing
done
that,
it, I've done
I'm
it.
having tea Earl Grey hot at the moment, or probably now warm.
Brilliant.
Very nice.
Tea Earl Grey hot. It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
And you are the best ever.
The best. The very bestest. My week's going all right too. Still busy with work and been in the office today. Had to go in the office all day, so it's all been a bit of a rush this evening. But
How
they
come
call
we
it.
used to do it every day?
I know they call it. It's actually our away day, which means we have to go in the office. It's kind
I
of
mean,
funny.
I used to live in Dublin, and it used to take me at least 11 to sometimes 12 hours. I only get paid for 7. That didn't cost a count of transporting myself to and from the office. It was it was horrendous.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah. So yes, let's make a start then. And I've got the first picture ready, and I've got the Wheel of Misfortune ready. We're all ready.
Oh, a D-pick.
Yeah, I started off with the big D. So here we go. Schisms is the 5th episode of season 6 of Star Trek The Next Generation. Production number 40276-231. It first aired in the US on the 19th of October 1992. And it's the 130th episode to be produced in TNG and released. The story was by Jean-Louise Mathias and Ron Wilkinson. It was their second of 4 for the duo, the last one being Imaginary Friend. They also wrote Lower Decks, that's coming up. The teleplay was by Brannon Braga, and it was his 11th of 24 writing credits, and it was directed by Robert Weimer. This is his 4th of 8, and he's most famous for Data's Day.
A classic.
Weimer.
Yes.
Did I miss anything there, Maz?
No, I'll just say before Sean does that this is what you might call a bottle show. So it was a lower budget one where they had very few CGI scenes or new props or new sets, or they didn't really go off ship per se. I mean, they kind of did, but they did have some quite clever reuse of props, and also with the way that they describe things and the kind of the mystery and stuff. I think it acquitted itself well for being a low budget episode, I must say. But
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I actually quite like their guest set, even if it is like pretty. Yeah, it doesn't look well, but we'll get to that.
We got some new aliens. That's true.
fish monks.
I wonder if Worf thought these were beautiful creatures too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet he did. If he'd have saw them, he would probably gone very handsome.
Are you in engineering, Sean, or on a bridge? I can't see on my
I'm in
phone.
Quark.
You're in what? Quarks?
On Deep Space Nine.
Oh my god, yo.
I suppose you could call it 10 forward. I think you have something for 10 forward. There you go.
The bridge.
Oh, we don't have anything for bingo for the recreational areas, but I think I'm gonna make a new bingo set anyway. So we got to add some more things and get rid of the ones we don't use so much.
Oh gosh, the other day I watched a YouTube video about the Star Trek experience in Vegas.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And I hadn't realized, I never realized how big it was, and I just severely regret not being able to have gone and seen that now. Now I've seen it, and I've been like, God damn it, why can't that still exist? Because it looks really amazing.
I'll tell you 2 things about that. The first one was the original plan was to build a more or less full-scale or 3/4 full-scale Enterprise refit, Constitution refit class. Like basically the top 10 decks, kind of sunk into the ground a bit with the nacelles and everything, and have the whole thing, and they just shrunk it down to an expo. And the best thing about that is they never would have destroyed it, so it would still be there. You know, it'd be hotel rooms or something. And imagine being able to stay in like quarters on the Enterprise. And the other thing is that I saw a different video about a year ago, and it was showing like when they shut it down, and they were auctioning off the things, and they had like uniforms. Now they were made by the people who made the uniforms for the show, but they weren't screen used, but they were screen accurate because they were made by Michael Westmore or whoever it was, and they
Yeah.
were selling them like four for $100. One guy spent $5,000. I think I mentioned it before, and he got a Voyager that's the size of a double decker bus. I don't know
Yeah.
what he did with it, but the biggest Voyager model ever built because they
It's
just had it hanging
huge.
on the roof.
It is huge.
think
I've
he
seen it. I saw it in the
for-
documentary. But the worst
He
thing
bought it for
was
relatively small money.
they had only a small period of time to get rid of it all, so they put it all up for auction, and everything that didn't sell, they just destroyed.
Yeah, they had some of the stuff on the promenade wasn't that screen accurate. But even at another killer, when they were taking down the Enterprise set, then the DS9 set and the Voyager set, all 3 times they told people, don't take anything, and they literally just ripped it up, just shredded it into plywood and
Yeah.
burned half through it in skips. Like Jay Ryan got a Borg alcove, that was about it.
I also didn't realize that the TNG bridge set that you go on and visit as a part of the experience, they actually had something like 7 of them to get the
So they had
throughput.
different groups, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of them survives. Someone has it making fan films in America. It's going to be actually, I think it's in Las Vegas, and they're going to the crowd in Tycon Rogue are building one from scratch. But the crowd in Las Vegas have it. There's kind of a sci-fi museum due to open. It got slowed down because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
They're going to set it up, and it's going to have the bridge from the experience refurbished to a more correct standard, amongst other things.
Okay, on to the teaser. So, we got the first picture, and that's good. The Enterprise has entered a dense globular cluster, and is faced with a daunting task of charting the region. It's morning, and Riker... Oh, no. Wrong.
Just while you're doing that... Grrr.
Oh, hiya, Wookie. Sorry, I had the wrong browser selected. There you go, that's better. It's morning, and Riker's had a good night's sleep. Oh, he has not had a good night's sleep. He inspects himself in the mirror, gets dressed, and heads to engineering. I think, not in this shot, but I think in one of the shots there's a bit of... Oh, no, there it is. It is in this shot. You can see the edge of the camera in the mirror.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
I think we're getting echo again.
No.
Echo.
Everything sounds fine to me.
Or when I talk, anyway. All right, if nobody else, we can keep going. Sorry about that.
Okay. So you can just see the edge of a camera there.
Yeah, camera, yeah.
I can hear a bit of an echo of me. I don't know why, but anyway. In engineering, Geordi and Data are working on scanning the cluster. Riker enters, and Geordi tells him that they've worked out a way of increasing the long-range sensors by channeling the warp energy into the main deflector dish. Didn't we do that recently for something? Channeling the warp power through the main deflector dish?
Yeah, when they had that thing with the Romulans in the next phase, they had to do something similar to that to stop the warp core exploding. They had to channel the power through the deflector dish.
I was pretty sure that as a way of getting out of a situation, we've had the channeling warp energy through the deflector dish recently. Anyway, Riker's concerned that will use up a lot of warp energy because they haven't got much of it to spare. But Geordi says it'll be fine because they're routing it through EPS mains on Deck 4 near Cargo Bay 4. So Riker's like, oh, that's okay then. That seems to explain that away. Afterwards, Data checks that despite his appearance, Riker's still be coming to his poetry reading later that afternoon. Riker tells him he wouldn't miss it for the world. But that being said, looking at Riker and Geordi's face, they don't seem particularly excited at the prospect.
Oh, no.
There's Riker, look. And
They just don't know what they're in for.
then there's Geordie, like, yay, we're
That's a
doing
forced
this.
smile if ever I've seen one.
Yeah. Here's a bit of a slideshow of how the audience looked during Data's poetry recital. So here's the first lot. They
Oh, so bad.
look enthralled.
Oh, damn. That's the first time I've seen somebody roll up. Oh, no, that's not the uniform sleeves.
No. The guy in blue's asleep.
Yeah, he's kind of asleep there, and then
So this is not
it pans
poetry,
around.
Def
And
Jam.
I think Troy's elsewhere, and Riker's kind of snoring, and Picard's date's looking at
Picard's-
him like, "Is this why
He's
you
on the
bring me
verge
to
of
this?"
losing his normal stoicism, right?
Yeah. He was like, he never thought he would be broken, 4 lights and all. It just takes sitting through this reading, and that's when he breaks.
It's true.
Yeah, that's Lieutenant J. Recognize her anywhere.
Hey, this lady here,
Yeah. Tracy
Lieutenant who?
Coco's her name. J.
Oh, yes, of course.
she kind of looks at Picard
400
as if to say, like, worst date ever. And then we end with Geordie and Worf looking completely dejected.
Like,
But Data seems to be quite happy with what he's doing.
I mean, it didn't sound that bad to me, but then they might have been sat there for like 3 hours or something.
Yeah, well,
No.
Data continues with his poetry of perfectly timed and with clever rhymes. And his next poem is poem number 9, is an ode to his pet cat. An ode to Spot.
gosh.
Felis catus is your taxonomic nomenclature, an endothermic quadruped, carnivorous by nature. Your visuals, olfactory and auditory senses contribute to your hunting skills and natural defenses. Now, Vicky absolutely loves this poem, and she's a poetry kind of girl, so I defer to her opinion on this. But Data's poetry is described as the 4th worst poetry in the universe, behind that of the Vorgons, the Asgoths of Kree, and that of Paul and Nancy Milestone Jennings of Greenbridge, Essex, the latter of which was destroyed when the Earth was blown up to make way for a hyperspace bypass.
I don't think Tabby has Hitchhiker's Guide on her list.
No,
there,
I don't
but-
have that, eh?
Damn it!
But I was going to make that same joke. Well done.
Aw.
Yeah,
No hitchhikers on the list, no.
no hitchhikers. Yeah, well. So Riker falls asleep and starts snoring, so Deanna jabs him in the ribs, and he suddenly wakes up with a start and just starts clapping automatically. Data tells him he's anticipated his denouement, but he appreciates the sentiments and carries on with his poem. And there we go. That's we leave the teaser with Data continuing to bore the crew. Now that's the end of the act.
Wookie wants to know if the actors and the crews and the extras, etc., get training on to how to operate the props and display screens and stuff like that. I'd imagine they
I would
would.
imagine you just get direction on set.
I think they get
Director or
direction on
one of
set
us.
at the time, don't they? You stand
Or
here,
the-
push this, do that.
Yeah, you'll have a director or an AD or a DP, director of photography, just come out and tell you, lift this, point this, whatever it is. I mean, they do what's called the blocking rehearsal, where they kind of walk through the scene just to see what the camera can see, so that step in front of each other and stuff. So yeah, quick enough to work that stuff out. So I suppose you want some questions.
Yes, please.
The first one: How did Riker respond in the positive to Data's invitation to his poetry reading? I will be there with bells on. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Wild horses couldn't keep me away. I wouldn't miss it for love nor money. And
Good question.
The second question is: this episode is set in the Amargosa diaspora, but when do we visit the Amargosa Observatory? When does that happen? What?
I know.
I know.
I know the answers.
Okay, we'll wait. Let other people put stuff in.
Okay, I'll wait. Should I wait? I can't wait because I've got to get on with things.
Oh,
So-
Yeah, I've got to read all the trivs and stuffs. Oh god. Right. The Amargosa diaspora was named after the Amargosa Desert and a pet finch of Braga's mother
Oh,
called Diaspora. And this is what I thought you were going to ask for a moment there, Sean. The stellar formations of the Amargosa Diaspora seen at the beginning of the episode turns up in this season actually to represent the Borgolis Nebula in episode called Lessons. You pointed out the camera, very good. Camera, crew and equipment seen on screen. And yeah, it was just interesting that the clock on Riker's wall, when he had like an alert and he looked at his clock, it gave the time in normal time and in the stardate time, which I thought was pretty cool.
yeah, cool.
And they tied together, but the stardate being 46154.4, the 0.4 indicates like a tenth of a day. So that meant it was somewhere in between 9:36 and 11:59, but we didn't necessarily know when. But of course, the other clock said 10:37, so that told us actually what time it was.
Clever.
So this is probably going to bore everybody. So just go to sleep for 30 seconds if you
Let
want.
me just quickly remind Ruth to get your answer in chat, Ruth.
Data was saying that his first or his whatever seventh poem was in anapestic tetrameter. So I thought I would see what that is. And what that is, that's where you've got 4 sets of like sort of threes. So it's like ba 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 ba. So it's like that. So so one of his things was, so I did not explain why the sunset turned red. So it's da 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 da. Then his ode to spot is in a completely different meter. I didn't actually look at what it was, but the way that Data actually reads it, so you read it correctly, Monteban, but the way that Data reads it, he actually reads the first sentence incorrectly.
Oh, is he?
So he reads it like Felis catus, and then almost like a question is your taxonomic nomenclature and endothermic quadruped carnivorous by nature. It's like because it says is your, I think Brent Spiner interpreted it as a question. But it wasn't. It was actually just saying as a sentence, Felix catus is your nomenclature. So that's your name.
Is your
Your scientific
yes,
name.
right. And then the
you're
second part.
a warm-blooded, four-legged animal that eats meat.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a question anyway.
No.
He also said to Riker, you anticipated my denouement or denouement.
Denouement.
I wondered what that was, and it's actually a
End
French
of a play?
word which...
Something like that?
Yeah.
End of a scene?
The literal...
End of a, something like that.
Sort of, yeah. It's a sort of conclusion after a climax of, a narrative of some kind.
Yeah.
Where the, plot unravels or, ties itself nicely up at the end. And the word in French, its literal translation is unknotting.
Yeah.
This episode's famous amongst fans because of the ode to Spot, and it also later appears in Fistful of Datas, and which, as you said, was it directed by the same person or produced by the same person? So that's interesting that there's that tie in there.
Yeah. No,
Brent Spiner apparently
Data's
was highly...
Day was what you directed. Data's Day, not Fistful of Days.
Data's Day, yes.
Data's
that's
Day.
it. Yeah, and Brent Spiner was highly impressed with the poem. He thought, he couldn't believe it was...
It's really good.
It rhymes so much. He called it technobabble. It's really not technobabble. It's just very nice words.
Very clever.
Technobabble is normally stuff that's kind of, made up. But yeah, no, it's just really nice, complicated words.
I don't.
And it also had something to say. He thought it was really sweet, a sweet point of view towards the cat. And Braga himself was really proud of this poetry. They thought about doing this sort of poetry idea for a while, and they thought it'd be good to put it in as the teaser because it also puts Riker in the frame of being asleep, which is obviously foreshadowing stuff that happens in the episode.
I was just going to say geez, actually it's gone straight out of my head. I had a thought, it's gone now, never mind.
Hey, everybody, Sean is speechless. Oh my God, is that
I need to. What? That's the opposite of rambling.
Shut up, Sean.
No, it's completely fallen out of my head. Okay, move on.
Maybe it'll come to you later.
This
Ah,
is
it's too late.
Sean's head.
Funny.
Okay, cool.
Right.
On to Act 1. Oh, no, wait.
We've got to do
Answers
the
to
answers
questions.
first.
What
I
am I-
haven't actually got my score sheet up
what
yet.
am I
I'll
talking
sort
about?
that out now.
Well, the first answer was yes, B. I wouldn't miss it for the world. And yes, the Hammergozer Observatory was the observatory where, from Generations, where Data does the magnetic personality gag, amongst others.
Generations, Tavikins, Ruth, myself, Stu Blum, Maz, did you say Generations somewhere?
I did not.
Oh, so no Maz. Is Wookiee going to be in there as a wild card?
Yeah. Anti points.
For
We gotta have a
anti-points?
black hole in space. Keeps the galaxy going.
I thought that question was going to be harder. I was like, would I tell you it was a film at least? It's like, no, everyone was straight on it.
Right. Oh no.
Oh!
Oh,
The black hole
Nailed
of
one.
Wookiee has struck.
The black hole wins.
Oh,
So everyone gets like a -10.
well done, Wookiee. Yeah, that's everyone's a negative.
Is that everybody who was on the wheel?
Yeah.
So Stu,
I
Plum,
love it.
myself,
That,
Ruth,
that's
and
put me
Tammy.
in a good position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it hasn't, because if everybody loses 10 points, then you've still got 10 points. Anyway, France and the first one right.
Yeah. Damn it.
Because I didn't even get that right.
Never mind. Never mind.
Does that mean that it's just canceled out? No one has any points but Mazza now?
No, it means you've
No,
got
we
10
still
points
got
instead of
the,
20 points.
yeah.
That's
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. So, Act 1, Riker goes to sickbay because he's dead tired. It's been going on for 2 or 3 days, and he's getting agitated. Especially when she holds a scanner near his face. The doc thinks it might be a lack of REM sleep, so she gives him a recipe for Aunt Adele's milk toddy. Have you got any questions about the milk toddy or anything, Sean?
I have a small one, but it's you're
Okay.
probably not going to hit on it.
In engineering, LaForge, Data, and Shipley are putting off the finishing touches to Geordie's warp-powered sensor array, and Data confirms that the range has increased by 26%. Geordie tells Shipley to inform Astrometrics that the new LaForge sensor array is online and waiting scientific discovery. He's very proud of himself for this sensor array invention of his. Data questions that he noticed that people seemed distracted during his poetry recital. LaForge tries to end the conversation early by saying, well, you know, it was all very well constructed, but Data wants to know whether it provoked an emotional response and reminds Geordie that he has no feelings to hurt. Geordie tells him it was very clever. The rhymes were very clever. It was all very clever. But did it hit emotional response? No, it didn't. He advises Data to think more about what he wants to say rather than how he says it. I kind of think you were saying about the poem earlier. I think, you know, the writers must have been patting themselves on the back when they created that, just in their cleverness, because I think they did a really good job at putting together a poem that was very clever and the rhymes were very clever. You know what I mean? So, like, the whole thing actually makes sense.
I remember what I was going to say earlier. I was going to say I don't have evidence of this, but I imagine that Brent probably has that, can whittle that off, and you know he probably does it as a party trick at conventions, because if he doesn't,
I'd
he's
imagine
missing the
so.
trick.
Yeah, no doubt.
I wrote an ode to lore once. I wonder if I still have that.
Oh, wow. Was it similar in style?
It was.
Or just got
Will I have to beep lots of it out?
Oh.
Hello?
I thought this was quite an
Baby.
interesting camera angle.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see
Oh
the
yeah,
corridor.
it shouldn't be too naughty.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, a couple of interesting things about this screenshot. This kind of, they have blacked out some of the
Rubber ducky.
the rubber duck and the Porsche and the little in-screen jokes. They did put some black tape over those things so you can't see it. The only thing you can see is Nomad is still lying down there on a deck. But apart from that, they blacked everything else out. And also the blinking red light, they corrected from the standard definition 1. I can show you that from Astris Accentia. And you can see, like, on the standard definition 1, the red blinking light was, I think, like deck 10 or 11. And we know that it was supposed to be on deck 4. So when they upscaled it to Blu-ray, they moved the blinking light to roughly the correct deck. So,
Nice. Also,
corrected.
the pad
Put a
Jordy
yellow
is
light to
using
cover
is
where the old red light was.
yeah, they did put a yellow light here to correct the old red light.
I'm just going to say that pad is very uncommon. They use them in the earlier seasons, but to see it in season 6 is unusual.
Yeah.
The little red one in Geordie-san.
Very much so, yeah.
Did
It's more common in the earlier series.
Tavi, did you see that Wookiee wanted to replace Data with a mannequin on a skateboard?
I told him I saw that and I approved because there is only one Data. So if they try to redo this, just don't bother. There is only Brent Spiner.
I thought, how dare you?
I will accept the Kelvin timeline down because that's a totally different timeline, and I've already chosen who's going to play Data for that. But here,
The guy who plays Sheldon.
no, oh my God, no.
Have
Donald
you seen his
Gleason.
cosplay? Oh, Donald.
Yes, he looks horrendous. Donald Gleason is the only man today I think that can pull off Data. That isn't played out.
Who's Donald Gleason?
You will be forced off of
Admiral
Streamline
Hux.
right now.
Admiral Hux
You don't-
in Star Wars. The ginger lad. His father is Brendan Gleeson, who's like the fellow who's not Colin Farrell in Bruges.
You don't know who Donald Gleason is? Are you from the UK? What?
Donald Gleason. Oh, do I know him?
Yeah,
He's in
he
Harry
was
Potter.
Admiral Hux in Star Wars.
Oh, he was really annoying in Star Wars. I couldn't
Yeah, I
stand
didn't
that
like how
character.
they finished off that character. He got stupid.
He got
If
really
you type
stupid. Like, I mean,
if
people
you
that are
type in-
supposed to be in like the main, what do you call them? Empire people in charge of the Empire are supposed to be like, like Grand Moff Tarkin. Like, you don't mess with them. They're like, but he was just like, he was like a
He turned
comedy
into
extra, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
turned into this whiny, sissy
buffoon.
thing by the end of it.
He's a nepo baby. Well, in Star Wars, his father was a general before him, and he just kind of rode the coattails up. He's a little bit, and he expected the world to be handed to him, and obviously it didn't. That's part of his background. It's not that obvious on screen, but in the expanded lore, his brother, he has a brother who's also an actor, and in the what's the show they did? Not the Andor. In the show Andor, the person who plays his father. The General Tron, not General Tron, General Hux, the senior, is his real life brother.
Oh, right.
So it's nice the way they did that.
Okay, cool. Okay, moving on. Then they detect the sudden power grid overload in the cargo bay, so they head to that location. The security team, led by Worf and Dr. Crusher and medical team, rush to the emergency. Well, I say rush to the emergency, but they kind of amble down the corridor at a snail's pace, like really nonchalantly, There's an emergency in the cargo bay. The whole ship could be being blown up, and they kind of saunter down the corridor at a
This
snail's
is the
pace.
problem when you have a second unit to do pickup footage.
Yeah. So anyway, they do a slow walk to the scene. Then they arrive at the door, and Worf declares that there may still be residual discharge, so it's best to hide behind the wall. And the only problem with that is really Worf's the only one that actually hides behind the wall. Because then when the door opens, you see Data and the whole gang there peering in, and Worf's the only one hiding. So, it's like, wow, that's warrior instincts for you. They completely don't look bothered. And so they shouldn't, because when the door opens, they find everything to be A-OK in the cargo bay. So they think it must be a faulty sensor or something. Geordi informs Riker, who orders him to perform diagnostic on it, but wants to pick it up in the morning because he wants to get an early night because he's still feeling really tired. He also checks Geordi, asks Geordi if he'll stop by at 7 o'clock to help him wake up. He enters his quarters, makes himself the hot toddy, the milky hot toddy, but doesn't look like he enjoys it. He kind of grimaces slightly when he tries it. Then he goes to bed, and as he drifts off, the door chimes. And it's LaForge, who's arrived at 0700 for the wake-up call. Riker is momentarily confused as he feels he just went to bed, and he's confronted with the reality that it is now, in fact, morning. And here is Riker looking confused. And that is the end of Act 1.
Lovely. So we'll have some questions, though. First question. In the episode Ensign Row, what was Aunt Adele's remedy for a Cardassian virus? A. Earl Grey tea. B. Lady Grey tea. C. Ginger tea. Or D. Breakfast tea. And the bonus question is, what gender is Data's cat Spot?
It's a trick question.
Oh, that's tricky. Come on.
Well, look, I'm not going to say what the right answer is. You just put your answer in and we'll see which way that works out.
Right. So, first thing, so Bev says that probably REM deprivation is making him feel that way, but actually that it doesn't make you tired necessarily. It kind of will make you a little bit emotionally unbalanced maybe, and actually more like, so they had that episode Night Terrors before, which was people being deprived of REM sleep, and that was actually more accurately depicted what a lack of REM sleep would do to you. Aunt Adele was previously mentioned in Ensign Row, where I won't say.
She mentioned a drink, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and Crusher said something about that he activates the amino acids in the lactose. Well, there are no amino acids in lactose, apparently. There are amino acids in milk, but not in lactose. And
presumably
them
they'd be
up wouldn't
lactic
do
acid.
anything. So her advice there wasn't to be taken. So yeah, when there was an emergency call, did you see security and the medical team rushing to the emergency? It was like the slowest walk I think I've ever seen anyone take down a corridor. It was so like ploddy and lackadaisical. It just seemed really bizarre that they were supposed to be going to an emergency.
We had a whole conversation about that.
Oh, was that when I accidentally dropped from?
I think you might have been missing for that bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I accidentally closed my. I don't know what happened. It went to like some Google login screen, so I touched something, and it somehow logged me out or something. But yeah, I had to come back in. Sorry.
I wonder. Sorry, if you have more, go on.
The last bit was just that, just as they're about to go into the cargo bay, you see Crusher sort of adjusting her medical unit thing, and she pulls the strap up to make sure it's quite nicely sat on her shoulder, and then the door's open and it's not on her shoulder and she's holding it in her hand. So just a little bit of a continuity error.
I was just going to say, is Monty, you've been on a few naval ships. Is there any rule about, like, regardless of an emergency, you don't run or anything like that? You know that.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay, you weren't you weren't there for an emergency.
We did simulate emergencies, and when like the siren goes, because we were like on maneuvers in the Atlantic, everybody ran to their stations. Like it was like, or when it's like all hands on deck type thing. Yeah, everybody just rushes to. So
Okay.
I don't think there's any
So a
type
bit-
of non
bit of
running.
jogging
It's
is-
not like it's not like a
okay.
school. In
Yeah,
an
yeah.
emergency, nobody's allowed to run.
What? Don't run! Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that one. Fair enough. All right. How are we for questions? I think has everyone got in?
Most
Yeah.
people seem to have said C.
All right. Yes, it was ginger tea, and no matter what answer you gave, if you put down Data's cat spot, yes, no, indeterminate, you all get the points. He was initially male, and then I forget the name of the episode, but the one where Barkley turns into a spider, he turns female for these and has kittens, and then you see him in Picard, and he refers to him as he yet again. So they didn't even stick to it. They reversed it back for Picard season 3. So who knows? So literally any answer at all is correct.
I
Roll on the
actually,
wheel.
I used to make a lot of funny memes for like Data and Lore, for some of the website Facebook groups. And one time I had like one that was like refused by admin. I was like, what is going on? I don't understand. Because I had no clue that the gender thing was like really sensitive to the trans community. And I did the cat restaurant thing where the two people, like the two women are like pointing and horrified, and the cat on the end of the restaurant is saying something factual but offensive at the same time. But I had Lore and Data cuddled together, and they're looking on it like in horror. And then, the cat on the other side is going, spot is a feet or something, or because I was trying to say continuity sucks. And I was trying to point it out with continuity, but they're like, oh no, saying that he changed genders or something back and forth might have been considered offensive to like a trans person in the group.
Funny enough, there is a meme that means much the same, where it's Data and Laura walking down the corridor together, where they kind of both have different readings of something. So, like let it snow versus let it snow, or whatever it might be.
Right.
And you'll never read let it snow correctly again, because every time you see it, you'll just see let it snow. Sorry.
no.
Thanks. You
What
just
the
ruined
answer
that.
was
for me.
Monty in the Navy.
No, so when I was about 20, when I was young, I worked for British Aerospace, and I worked on a project which was the gun control system for the Vickers gun on the front of Type 22 and Type 23 frigates.
What was a Vicar doing on a naval ship?
A Vicker, yeah. Yeah, the Vickers gun. And so when we produced new software for the gun control system, we had to do live sea trials. So I went out on board HMS Cumberland a few times on NATO maneuvers in the Atlantic. And yeah, I'm not going to give you a ta-dumch. You're going to get one of those. Yeah, there you go.
Do you get dad joke on our bingos?
Hey, you do get dad joke, Matt, isn't it? Yeah. So yes, that's
a pretty dad joke, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I've been on board a ship. It's great. I got an onboard rank of lieutenant in the officers' mess with the captain and the officers.
Everybody would stand for attention and call you sir.
Yes, I get called sir. And
At 20.
stand for the
You hadn't even. Oh, that's ridiculous.
yeah. I've got to stand on the bridge.
I understand it's just a matter of convenience, just to give you access and stuff. But it's an NCO with 30 years experience, 20-year-old, not even commissioned.
Yeah, I know. I was considered an MOD contractor. So yeah, you got an onboard officer rank. It's great.
Yeah. So it goes ensign and then lieutenant. You don't have a second lieutenant. That's the army, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It was good. It was good times. Okay, so I put everybody, I think, on the wheel. Is that correct?
Ode to Laura is added in chat if anybody has missed out on that poetic masterpiece.
Very cool. You should read it to us.
I don't want my rhythm to be judged.
Yeah. Right, I am spinning the wheel. Gaza!
Hey!
Yeah, you come from behind.
Yeah, that means I have now, I think, just caught up with you
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Nice. I think we're all
Well
on
done.
level pegging now.
Well done.
Double check.
Yeah,
Yes,
maybe
we're all on
I don't
points.
I don't know if it was mean or kind having a question where there was no wrong answer, but what the hell? It was a bit of fun.
It's good. I like it.
It was good.
Okay, so obligatory picture of the D for no reason.
Yes.
There she is. Worf's
It
visiting.
looks bigger when you trim the bushes.
It does. It does. Worf is visiting Mr. Mott for a haircut, but he makes it clear that he doesn't want it cut as short as last time. Mott engages Worf in small talk about how luxurious Klingon hair is, but when Mr. Mott waves his scissors near Worf's face, Worf grabs his arm. A worrying Mott reiterates his promise not to cut too much off the top, but Worf is angry and he leaves the barbers.
I just noticed in that shot that his Bolian or Mott's ears are different. They're elongated downwards. When we see Bolians later, they don't have that.
Do they not?
I don't recall.
Yeah, it's a Bolian thing.
I think that disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they just have normal ones, so it's
Yeah,
I guess
weird. Right. It's like they couldn't be bothered to recreate that. In the cargo bay, Geordi, Data, and Riker are investigating the sensors. Riker thinks it's prudent to take Geordi's changes offline until they understand what's happened. And Geordi admits that he, in fact, himself is now feeling tired. Then Geordi's visor goes all weird and decides to go to sickbay, leaving Data to complete the analysis alone.
Yeah, he's a bit like a bicycle, too tired.
Thank you.
Nice.
I love them.
In sickbay, the doc finds bacterial infection around his neural inputs, and the bacteria doesn't match any strain on medical database. She performs additional checks to make sure that there's no other infections.
I thought this was a bit weird. If you found a new bacteria strain, why aren't you taking a culture?
Well, it's, how did it get on the Enterprise? Through, like, the
I would-
biofilters and all the things they've got,
Also,
She's like, oh, let's just kill it. We're not going to catalog it or anything.
that shot you have there is a great one just to illustrate this point. She's holding the scanner backwards. It's normally the narrow end you point towards the patient. She has it the other way around.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Clearly, she didn't
Just
get
scanning
the
herself.
training in how to
How to use the scanner.
use the equipment.
She's scanning herself, not him. So yeah, no wonder she's getting the wrong readings.
She's actually scanning whatever's on her fingers.
On her fingers, yeah.
She's just discovered some unknown bacteria on her fingers.
I will say I do know something about that prop. And basically, there's a little thumb sensor. So you do have to put where she's putting her thumb on it. You do have to put your thumb on it to make the lights flicker. So that's, it's pressure activated. So, but yeah, just for whatever reason, season 6 of all times, she's holding it upside down. You think by then she would have got it right, but no.
Yeah.
How about this? That prop has 2 workable ends. It's not just one hole available.
Oh. It's
Functional.
a dual aspect, a dual functional
front and back door.
device.
Oh,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, well, the little bullet or what you want to call it is, we never see it operated that way again.
No.
But just whatever way she grabbed it, you can even see how awkward it is because she has to have her thumb on the little button. So she kind of has a little claw going on. It's it just looks wrong.
So you'll know this. You'll all know this, but maybe I did. I'm at that age where I'm learning things, and I'm like, well, I never knew that, but I probably have known it for years. But it's now become a new fact to me all over again. But his visor was connected to his head via screws in the side. So he had 2 screws either side that had a little flat plate on the inside, and they'd screw the screws with a screwdriver, both sides, until the plates were like wedged into the side of his skull and would hold the visor on. And he said it used to give him migraines all the time because he just have these like two pressure points on the side of his skull the whole time he was wearing it.
You know, you would kind of hope that, you know, it would only be for a couple of minutes at a time because, you know, they'd be setting up a scene and they block it or whatever. They'd record for 3 or 4 minutes. It'd be very rare you'd have to do, you know, in TV they do 2 or 3 takes and they're done. But at the same time, as I said, having a punching pressure on your temples for a couple of minutes, that
couldn't have been pleasant. Couldn't have been pleasant.
Although, they didn't always have those on because he does have kind of not in all, but you sometimes see them in shots because his hair's quite dark. They kind of had basically like sunglasses. They flipped over his ears, little thin kind of pipe cleaners that. So depending on the shot, sometimes they use those as well.
I've never noticed them. I'm not noticed them.
It's very because his hair is so dark. They obviously matched it to his hair. And his hair is both dark and thick. It's very rare you can see it, but there is some shots where it's visible if you know what to look for.
Yeah, I just watched one of the podcasts with him in it, and he described it recently. Because I always wondered, because he like looks down at the console all the time, and I always thought to myself, why doesn't that fall off? Did they glue it to his face or something? You know?
Oh, it did. It just and he ran into doors as well. He could see very little.
Yeah.
Like he just run into doors or trip over things all the time.
Yeah, that's what he said. He was always walking into stuff.
But I can imagine that, you know, they would have had a stagehand basically guide him between shots. He'd know it was 4 steps from the science station to turn around and hit tactical, you know, or whatever it was. You know, he'd have a kind of a clue. But you couldn't go far with those things.
So once Geordi had finished in sickbay, he went and checked on Data to see how the scanning was going. But Data says he's only just started. He questions why LaForge hasn't gone to sickbay. Geordi replies that he's been to sickbay for over an hour and a half. Data doesn't believe it, as it's not what his internal chronometer is telling him. He checks it with the computer and confirms that 90 minutes have passed. Indeed, Geordi was right. Data says he's going to perform a self-diagnostic, and Geordi wonders if the visor glitch, the sensor malfunction, and Data's time loss could all be connected to something going on in the cargo bay. On the bridge, Riker's about to teach Ensign Rager how to compensate for gravimetric interference in a globular cluster for a course correction, but when he sits down at con, he suddenly has an odd reaction to the console. He runs his hand over the smooth surface on the forward edge of the helm, and then gets out of the chair and resumes his seat in the captain's chair, apparently deciding that stellar cartography won't get their better angle after all.
Yeah, I love how clear the text is, and the very, 20th century screws, Phillips head screws, that they have holding the whole thing in.
Yeah, this is another minorly interesting point in that in the standard definition version, the screws weren't there. They digitally cleaned that up. There you go. There's the standard definition version. No screws. They put some black digital stuff over it so that you could not see the screws. But then when they upscaled it, they forgot to cover over the screws.
But even back then, the basics of stagecraft, a little bit of black nail polish, you just a little dab on each, and you could so easily solve that. Or even just any sort of black paint just to dull it down a bit. I mean, they're silver screws into a black thing. I mean, as I said, I've put together sets for dramas and things, and you dull up those things. It's so lazy. It's just wrong.
Yeah. I also noticed for the first time in this episode how the cream sections of the L cars on a lot of the screens in this look blotchy.
Yeah,
like the ink under the light bulbs, the ink underneath is cracked, and it's got all
it would
these,
do because they're old incandescent bulbs, so they're creating heat, and the heat would crack the surface.
Now they've been there for 6 years, so they're starting to look a little bit. It's looking a little bit ropey.
Yeah, they've little 60-watt bulbs, like a quarter of an inch from the surface. It's gonna melt and contract the plastic underneath the diffusion seats. as I said, now it'd be like a modern telly. You just have 1,000 LEDs under it. Quarter inch between them. You couldn't do that back then. Or maybe it's no, it's not a fluorescent bulb. Because as I said, you wouldn't have that cracking.
So later in the cargo bay, Geordi picks up another sensor glitch, and it turns out to be subspace particles emitting from a glowing plasma conduit. The very conduit that Geordi was inspecting earlier. And here's a picture of the glowing conduit. Again, this special effect was recreated in the Blu-ray version. And that's the end of Act 2.
That'll do us. All right. So the Act 2 question. The first question: what was? Oh, hold on. I need to shorten this ever so slightly because it's just over 200 characters. What was the end of the joke that Mr. Mott was telling as Worf went into the barber's? And A, and the Andorian says, "That's not my antenna." B, no, the ring's around Uranus. C, if it's not squirming, we won't eat them. Or D, don't catch any bugs. So he's telling a joke that, well, you only hear the end of it, but that's the end of it. And the bonus question: in which cargo bay does Data lose time? I'll narrow it down as between 1 and 5. So all these events happen in the same cargo bay.
So, while we're talking about Mott, this is his last appearance, actually, although he is referenced quite a bit in Starship Mine. And in fact, he was originally written into another series, which was The Chase, but the scene was deleted, so he never ended up actually being in it.
This was Mott's last appearance.
Wasn't oh, maybe it was a different one in Lower Decks.
Crikey.
Are you serious? It's the last one. I thought he does
Hasn't
Picard's
he been
hair
here
again
like
sometime.
twice? I thought he was in much
He
more
doesn't.
episodes.
But I think in Picard, when they go to, is it Freetown or Free State, whatever that place is, there's a Mr. Mott's Barber Emporium. There's a sign.
No, there is, yeah.
So he's mentioned, but yeah, this is the last time you physically see him.
I was going to see whether it says in TNG, but it just says last appearance. So yeah, I don't know if he's in any other series, but also the last appearance of Rhaegar, although we haven't seen her yet. And in
Sean just dropped his
barbershop-
mouse.
Was that Chief Sean
I
being
dropped-
noisy on his mic?
Yeah, I dropped my phone. It's fine.
Oh, his phone. I thought his mouse.
I've actually ordered a new one, so if I broke it, it wouldn't be the worst. Go on, anyway.
Sorry.
So in the barbershop, there were some wall decorations, which were also seen in Proconsul Naral's office in Unification 1 and 2. I think that's been used a couple of other places. It's also used in Starship Mine, Parallels, and then later used in Voyager in part of Neelix's quarters and Anorax's ready room on the Krenim time ship, warship, thingamajiggy, and Year of Hell. Great double parter. When Riker sits down to the con, obviously you notice the screws, but this is the only time in the series that Riker actually takes the con, although he does do it again in Insurrection, but it's the only time in the series. And then the final point is just that a schism, the name of the episode, means a split or a division or a which is basically that thing on the screen. It's like a split in subspace.
Yeah. In Insurrection, though, by taking the con, doesn't he like get a ridiculous joystick out of the deck of the bridge and stand in the middle of the bridge, waving, with his giant joystick?
Sounds very Riker.
It does, doesn't it? He's just like there, planting with his feet wide apart, going, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was a Microsoft Flight Simulator joystick. It was commonly available at the time. You could buy it and spray paint it black and have a proper replica very easily.
I got mine. This is mine.
That's not the same one, though, is it?
No, this is a Thrustmaster.
Oh dear, Thrustmaster.
It's a Thrustmaster.
Okay.
Rude.
Better than that, though. I got 2.
Oh my.
So I can dual wield.
Using both at the same time.
Yeah, both at the same time.
Okay. I'm gonna
Ambi
leave that.
Restaurant.
I'm gonna leave that.
Ambi,
I'm gonna
yeah.
leave that. I think it'll be a bit too much.
Yeah. So answers to the questions.
I think everybody said
yeah,
C4. Very incendiary answers, as Tariq says.
C4, yes.
Can I actually just point out I completely did that by accident.
Oh,
I wish I'd thought of it, but I didn't.
Don't have our chat red flagged.
Yeah. Can I? Yeah. And the Andorian says that's not my antenna. Does anyone know who said that?
Is it from TOS? I don't know.
No, it's from D Space Nine.
D Space 9, isn't it?
Quark says it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the rings around Uranus isn't from anything, but I just needed the filler there. If it's not squirm, we won't eat them is the answer. Don't catch any bugs. No,
Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Yeah.
Klingon says it to
Klingon say to
Uhura,
Uhura.
and, yeah.
But they're, and they laugh back. Exactly.
Yeah. I had to say that was a complete guess because I knew that my antennae thing was from another Star Trek.
And you knew don't catch any bugs. 6,
and I figured B was just something you made up, so that's why I guessed C.
Nice deduction. Exactly correct.
In my notes, I just had the barber was ironically talking about Guk just as Worf walks in. I don't know if that's what he was talking about, but yeah, you wouldn't want to eat them unless they're alive, right? So I just assumed he was talking about Guk.
I don't have any silicon sleeves. They're the handles of my joysticks. No, they are fine as they are. They're fine as they are.
Oh my goodness.
I just keep some antiseptic cloths around, to give them a wipe every now and again. Because
Oh, it's making it even worse. Oh my god.
Well, you do the same for your keyboard and mouse and stuff, don't you? Just to keep everything clean. But
that's exactly what we're talking about.
Just good hygiene.
Yeah, good hygiene. Right. So is that everyone then? Everyone on the wheel. That's the word. Everybody on the wheel.
So,
Right. So I will spin it for you. Here it comes. A good spinning. It's Duplum.
Stoop.
He now takes the lead with 120 TNG points. Everybody else is on 110.
Well done, Duplum. Well done. I'm just going to get rid of some of these tabs because I'm concerned. I've got a lot of pictures today. So
You can leave the data ones up, Jesus.
Okay, Act 3. Here we go. Picard comes to the cargo bay to see the subspace rift. Data notes that the particle emissions are composed of tetryon particles. Picard says those particles shouldn't be stable in our universe, and Geordi confirms that nothing should be emanating that deep in subspace. But there it is. Anyway, Picard wants to know if they're in any danger or if the ship's in any danger. They are. But Geordi has a plan that if it spreads, they'll beam the whole bulkhead into space and erect a force field. Ta-da! In 10 Forward, Riker explains Troy's experience of feeling trapped when he sat at comm. She tells him that this is the third person today to mention experiencing some kind of fear for no reason. They agree for everyone to get together and talk about it. So, Riker and Troy meet with Worf, Geordi, and Kaminer, the civilian member of the crew, and they talk about how they've all experienced feelings of trapped. Worf tells them about his incident with the scissors at Mr. Mott's. Smiler Rainbow was convinced that this was some sort of alien or some sort of imposter, because we see these episodes where like random people just pop up and it's just like, who is this person? Why are they in
Why
this
did
scene?
she die? If they're going to bring a rando into it, then surely they've got to die imminently.
Why isn't she wearing a uniform? It was like, no, she's just a random civilian person on board, you know. That's
That's
it.
where I quite
It's just
like
the way
this.
it
You know,
is.
you've got Mott and you've got her. It's like, you know, for
Yeah, it feels
for a low
well-rounded,
budget show,
doesn't it?
it's quite expansive in terms
Yeah.
of its involvement of the crew and making you, you know, cognizant of that wider social
Yeah.
network that they've got around them.
Yes, indeed.
I thought it was kind of nice because it stopped that trend that only things happen to the senior staff of the Enterprise. It's like, okay, no one else is being bothered.
Mm.
Imagine how, like, if you were on that ship and you were suddenly, you know, in the observation room with like all the senior staff, and you'd be like, I'd be pooping myself in that position, being just a civilian.
Yeah, being up on deck
It's the most
one or
exciting
whatever.
day of my life.
God. I've never been up this part of the ship before. It's got that sort of new ship smell.
Oh, it seems that we are out of Earl Grey tea and Panko has disappeared. I'm wondering if she actually
that's why
went
she
to the.
wasn't getting you one then.
Yeah, I was like, maybe she went to the store because I don't see her in the house. And I'm like,
Ah.
oh, don't go to the store for Earl Grey.
You should have put it in chat earlier, and yeah.
Well, she did put it in chat asking Panko to go get her some.
Yeah.
Well,
Wookie,
if
you
it
get
helps,
one
I
of
have
these.
the right cup.
This is for you, Wookie, for your
he's
last
got his
comment.
golden teacup.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's just for you. That is. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my little Bowden mug.
He said he hates minor characters because they're always digging underground.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought about giving him a, but no, it didn't deserve it. It didn't deserve it. Okay, so
Sorry. I saw a clip the other day that's nothing to do with anything, but it's just a guy doing a live stream playing on guitar, and someone asked him, "Can you finger an A minor?" It's like, "Can I finger an A minor? Of course I can." And then it just cuts. It cuts to like police like knocking at the door. Go, go, go!
right,
FBI, open up!
yeah. FBI. So they come to an agreement that they fear smooth code surfaces and picture some sort of raised table. Riker suggests using the holodeck to aid their memory. So they go down the holodeck and they start with a table and they make it long and rectangular. There's going to be a lot of pictures here. Look, there you go. Geordie shortens it. Worf makes it inclined. I don't know how they went from that to now we need that table inclined, and so the holodeck does that. It's like,
Yeah.
It's not as big as a leap as between this one and the next one. Though.
and then Riker says, "Yes, but it's metal, so can we have it in metal?" And so the holodeck comes up with that.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, of the, I don't know if it's a, you know, there's many thousands of different classifications that, and it's put like the little head thing with like
Yeah, I
and
know.
attached
Feet
to it,
restraints, and it's now a lie down sort of chair rather than a table. But anyway, they make
Yeah,
the
well,
holodeck darker. They add a spotlight, and then they add restraints to a tray, and with lights on it, and it ends up looking something like this. Then they add some kind of swing arm, and Worf adds scissors to it, and that looks like that. But then Worf refines the look of the scissors, and Kamina remembers the clicking sound in the background. So they add the clicking, they add the new scissor bits, the serrated edges, and they realize in unison that they've all been in this room before. And that's the end of Act 3.
Mazza probably has this in her list of goofs, but the table we see later, what they are actually on, isn't inclined, isn't metal, and doesn't have any restraints on it.
No, it looks plasticky and it looks flat.
Oh, sorry. Where are we? Sorry. 3.
Question
okay.
time.
Yeah, sorry. I lost track of which act we were in. Okay, which which particles are detected from the anomaly in the cargo bay? A. Graviton, B. Bryon, C. Tetryon, or D. Omega? And the bonus question: the computer had 5,000 and how many tables on file?
Oh, jeez.
Now, if you know anything about when I ask you a numbers question, you should know the answers to that.
I know.
There we go.
You kind of give me that one, but I'll take it.
The character of Caminer was named after author Wendy Caminer, who's like a sort of feminist sort of writer.
Oh, cool.
So on the holodeck here, this is actually a physical set. I mean, again, moving it away from being a bottle show, really, but this was a physical set constructed on the studio lot, rather than they often do like a little bit of a model, or you just see it in the background as they're walking into it or something like that. But they had to make like a proper set to sort of do all of this reconstruction work as a group there. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
They put some temporary walls up in the cargo bay, don't they? Or the shuttle bay. It's the shuttle bay cargo bay set.
Because they were using the shuttle bay / cargo bay for much of the scene, I imagine
they probably put it somewhere else.
Set.
Yeah,
and you can tell because it's a smaller holodeck than normal. It's a lot smaller. The walls are a lot closer in on them. And
it looks a little more plush as well. It almost looks carpet-like, where it doesn't usually look quite as nice as that.
But I will say the grid pattern makes this a hell of a lot easier for the people doing the scenes, because obviously they had to line up the tables and keep taking them out and putting them back in. So they lined them up with the grid on the floor. So it made it relatively easy to make those changes, without having to use tape or anything that might be seen in shots. It worked out well.
Oh, my answer's supposed to be C. I don't know why I put X. I must have is X near C on the keyboard?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's I've got Hey, she got some Earl Grey by looks of things.
And I will point out, again, it was a complete accident that we ended up at C4 all over again. That wasn't on purpose. I just somehow managed
C47.
I got C47 as opposed to C4. The complete accident.
It's your subconscious trying to tell you something. It's Panko!
Go!
Hello, Panko! Yay!
But I'm covered in C47s, and yeah, that's perfectly fine. C Tetryon and 5047 is the answer.
Right. So I guess everybody got that again?
Yeah, I only have one more little bit of trivia. So we already said about how the table jumped forward between specifications to being remarkably accurate to what they needed, but also I think Deanna was saying about having a restraining arm attached to the right-hand side.
And they touched it to the left.
Like attached to both sides, like completely full around. So there were a few things, and like you say, even later on, it turns out that more things were inaccurate.
Yeah, you can tell that was hired from Hollywood props. Is that what they're called? The
modern props.
Modern props. Yeah. It's very much you can tell by the style of it.
It was a modern-y props kind of thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you just there's a style to it, and you can see it a million miles away once you know what it is. That kind of 70s, lots of figures and lights thing.
They were all made by one old guy, weren't they? So they yeah. Okay, I will spin that wheel then.
It's amazing in Hollywood is like they have those prop stores, and if you want to hire a lamp, it's like $800 a day, and people pay it. It's the way the industry works. It's crazy.
It's Ruth. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Well done, Ruth. You got one. You got one.
Yeah, the wheel has not been on your side the last couple of weeks.
It is tonight.
Yeah, fair play.
Ruth and Stu Plum now are in joint first position.
Well done,
Oh
guys.
my God.
100 points each. Everybody else is on 190.
I feel a Kanye coming on. It's been a minute, but I'm trying, and I still can't get ahead. My number one spot is in jeopardy.
I think it's secure. I wouldn't worry too much.
Do.
Okay, Act 4. In sick bay, everyone's being examined, and the doc has found that everyone has elevated levels of serotonin. She's also detected tetryons in their subdermal tissues.
Sorry, just before you move on, just a very random fact, nothing to do with Star Trek. The guy who composed the Jeopardy theme, I ran this out during the week, has earned over 10 million in royalties.
Wow.
Just for that little tune. Hell of a day's work. Sorry, go
Not
on.
bad. Data arrives and reports that after completing his self-diagnostic, he's concluded he was not aboard the Enterprise for the lost time in the cargo bay. Realizing people were being abducted, Picard asked the computer if, by the way, computer, is there anyone missing at the moment? And the computer goes, yeah, there's 2 crew members unaccounted for, Lieutenant Hagler and Ensign Rager. Who've been left?
I have
They
to
left.
love-
Sorry,
I've said
co-
before,
love
like, why
that-
don't they have an automated alert for that? If somebody leaves the ship without some kind of authorization or through no known route,
Yeah,
like, why
AWOL,
do they not have an alert?
yeah.
Yeah, if someone goes AWOL, as they say, absent without leave, they're not on base when they're meant to be. How are you not checking this every 10 minutes?
Yeah, the computer's unaware of how they left the ship. So why is it not flagging this up to like, Worf at least should have something on his security console.
I can understand.
Awooga,
It's not
the
every
people have
minute,
left the ship
but
by
every
unknown
10
means.
minutes. Or every 5 minutes, and if you're missing for 2 consecutive periods, then it alerts somebody. You know.
It's only been going on for 3 days.
Yeah.
People have been going to and from the ship by unknown means for like 3 days, and the computer says nothing.
I mean, we said the same back when Picard got abducted, didn't we? And they were like, "Oh, he's been off the ship for like 6 hours or something." You know,
Like
I
the
mean,
captain,
Yeah, I
Who
mean,
needs
and
him?
without
the
use of
computer
a
knows this,
transporter.
and it just sits there knowing this and not telling anybody. It's
I
supposed
think-
to be like mega AI.
I think it is, but I think secretly it's like Hal, right? It's like they've gone. They've gone, Dave.
But even in
Where
even
the crew
in
gone?
modern
Don't
ships,
know, but they've gone.
they're dead, Dave.
He just wants.
But it-
Enterprise just wants to be alone, you know.
But even in modern day fishing vessels, they all have GPS transponders on them, and if one of them suddenly disappears off board, they know about it. You know, within seconds they realize someone has gone out of range, that there's a problem. So yeah, 400 years in the future, yeah, then they all have combat. I think they'd know. They should know.
Yeah, you should know.
I've probably said this before when you've mentioned Hal, and I don't know if this was intentional or coincidence, but if you take the name Hal and you move each of the letters by 1 in the
Yeah.
alphabet, you get IBM,
Yes.
which were the only real producer of like big machine computers at the time that it was written.
Yeah.
Yeah, the modern PC was basically they had proprietary hardware and someone copied it and they got away with it, and everyone started making as the modern PC were called IBM clones back in the late 80s. They were referred to as clones.
Well, they never patented the IBM computer. They did so on purpose because they felt that it was in their interests to have more PCs out on the market. Which was
Did
just
you ever hear-
crazy.
Increase the computing industry in general.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear
Yeah.
about the time Steve Jobs toured Xerox?
No.
They had a computer with basically pop up and pop down screens, and you could layer screens over each other and multitask. They had a GUI, you know, a modern operating system, not just DOS command lines. And it was just a project someone was working on, and they just showed it to him,
Yeah.
and they hadn't patented or anything. They just, this is just something we were playing with, and we kind of gave up on it. And he went, oh, that's a great idea. And well, what we now call an operating system, but a GUI, a graphic user interface, you know, with windows and things. He just straight off ripped off Xerox.
Yeah.
Or much like Kodak had the first digital camera 10 years before everyone else, and they went, it'll never take off. So they just stuck with film.
IBM themselves had a chance to be at one with Microsoft, and they passed. But
Yeah, or the time
anyway,
Yahoo,
let's move on because we're boring everybody to death, Sean.
Oh, I'll give you the last one. We move on. Yeah, Yahoo were offered Google for $1 million, and they turned them down.
Yeah.
That worked out.
That worked out. The answer to Wookie's question is yes. Yeah. Why you'd want to do that?
What
a
a prank.
But the answer is yes, for whatever reason. Good evening, Mickey. I hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. Okay, so yes, people have been missing. The computer doesn't care. Picard contacts the bridge and tells them to raise shields and orders a level 4 security alert. Just then, one of Crusher's medics alerts her to a shocking discovery. It appears that Riker's arm has been surgically removed and then reattached, almost invisibly, except with a 0.02 micron difference. Suffice to say that Riker is relatively shocked at this news. In the cargo bay, Shipley directs Geordi to a concerning discovery. The emissions have coalesced into a spatial rupture. They decide to put a subspace containment field around it in case it expands, as it would present a threat to a hull breach if it's not contained. There's a picture of it there in the middle of the cargo bay. On the bridge, Riker reports... Sorry?
I was just going to say, I think that shot is reused in The Perfect Mate, that CGI shot. It's been reimposed in a different place, but I think it's the same one used twice.
What, the effect of the white thing?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's a spotlight pointing down, but I think the effect was used before.
Yeah. This was brand new, recomposed for the Blu-ray version,
I suppose
but
it was,
it looks very similar. On the bridge, Riker reports that their internal sensors have not picked up anything unusual other than the rupture in Cargo Bay 4. Picard orders a metallurgic analysis to be conducted on the ship's hull, as he believes a subspace field incursion may have left a trace. All sounds very impressive. Worf reports that Lieutenant Hagler has been returned to the Enterprise and is in his quarters on Deck 9. So Dr. Crusher goes down to see if he's okay. And I got a quick picture of his door to the crew quarters, and it's just interesting that you can see loads of you can see like a pile of labels where this door has been so many different people's doors. There's like a stack of labels on top of each other.
But I have to say, fair play to them for putting the actual label of the name on it, because back in the CRT days, there was no way you could see that.
You would never have seen it in a million years. No. Anyway, so Dr. Crusher rushes to his quarters. She opens the door, and... Oh, no, that's not right. And Hagler collapses into the corridor floor. Picard and Riker rush over to help the Doctor and finds that Hagler's blood has turned to liquid polymer. So she calls for a plasma. It does, doesn't it? They calls for a plasma infusion. But yeah, polymer's like a plastic, so that can't be good for you, can it?
Yeah, you think, you know the stuff you like seal tiles in the bathroom? That's basically polymer. Like that silicone stuff you get in the gun. Yeah.
It's now very waterproof. Yeah. They have another staff meeting in the observation lounge, and Geordi reports that the rupture is expanding and will eventually breach the hull. Data reports that they cannot lock onto it and beam it out with the transporter. Geordi elaborates on a plan that if they knew the location of the source of the rupture, they could use a graviton pulse to close it. However, finding the specific tertiary subspace manifold where the abducting aliens dwell within an infinite number of domains which exist is almost impossible. It's like, crikey. That's it sounds very complicated.
Tavi has peach cobbler. Yummy.
Can I see it again?
Well, I think
just so I can.
And a peanut butter cookie.
Well, that looks good.
Yeah, well, calories don't count when you're on holidays, and I suppose she's not home yet, so okay.
It does look good. It does
fill your boots.
I had to look up what a manifold was. I didn't know what a manifold was.
Plasma manifold.
Isn't just a pipe.
Well, it's a mathematical shape in a three-dimensional world. So it could be anything, like a square or a cube. Like a square would be a two-dimensional manifold, and a cube would be a three-dimensional manifold. But yeah, it's basically a shape.
I think in the context they use it, it pretty much means plumbing, like pipes connected together in some sort of structure.
Well, it's how they describe theoretical areas in 3-dimensional space, so it's a correct terminology to use in this instance, but I didn't know what it was. I've came across an interesting one that's a 3-dimensional shape, but it's actually 2-dimensional. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It looks like a pot that kind of wraps around on itself.
Oh,
it's only got one side.
Kind of hole on the inside, or
yeah.
You know what a Mobius strip is?
Yeah, a bit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of a vase with like an end that goes into it. So
that's right.
Its inside is on its outside, and its outside is on its inside.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but that is an example of a 2-dimensional manifold. So there you go.
Yeah, well, if you get a strip of paper and you basically put it in a loop, so it kind of forms an 8 and it kind of inverts on itself, it's a 3-dimensional object with only one side.
Yeah.
You know, which should be impossible, but it isn't. So figure that one out.
Yeah. Okay, so where was I? I think I was bringing up the next picture. That's what I was doing. Worf comes up with the idea of creating a homing device, but how they would get that device to the source, they don't know. And then Riker says, give it to me. They take me every night, so I'll definitely get it there. So they decide to do that. Picard reminds him that he will be affected by the graviton pulse, as will everyone else in that location, so he'll need to get out of there as soon as he can. He also asks the doctor if he can find a way to counteract the neural sedative, and Beverly thinks she can find a neurostimulant that would, in a high dose, do the job. And Riker agrees. So in sickbay...
I always...
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I always love how you can tell how a shot is lit because it always bounces off Picard's head.
Yeah.
You can see where all the lamps are.
Yeah, I did think it was genius. This whole scene I thought was pretty good because they got all the brightest minds around the table, and Worf says, well, we should create a homing device and send it there. And they go, yes, we're going to do that. It's like no concept of how or what or, but what a Worf.
Yeah. Well, for once he didn't want to blow it up.
And they're like, how do we counteract the neural sedative? And Beverly's like, I think I could come up with a neurostimulant. Oh yeah, that's genius. Why don't we do that?
Cocaine.
How do we get it less dark? Turn a light on. Yeah, perfect. Brilliant.
Perfect. Do that. Yeah, Colombian marching powder.
Like I say, it's just they were just glad that Worf didn't say, "Why don't we send a bomb
Shoot
there?"
'em. Yeah.
It was just like
if we can get that there, let's send a photon torpedo. Yeah, they definitely wouldn't. The one time they go with Worf's idea, it's just because they're sending a homing device. Let's go with Worf's plan. He's like, damn it, I should have led with torpedo.
Yeah. The one time they accept his plan, and it's not to blow it up.
Okay. In sickbay, Beverly administers a stimulant, and Geordie's arms. And Geordie arms him with the subspace beacon and attaches it to Riker's arm. Later that evening, Riker's laying in his bed awaiting, and he hears a click, click, click. Then a portal opens up and sucks him in. I think it's quite funny how it starts from that scene. He's laying on the bed and he just goes, whoop. And you can just tell that someone at the end of the bed, like two people have like grabbed his feet and just gone, whoosh, like pulled him down the bed,
Yeah, also you would think in space dimensions are meaningless. Why would they drag him across the floor? Why didn't you just suck through the bed?
I wonder if I can...
But to be fair, it makes for a great poltergeist shot.
There you go.
And I think...
Whoop.
Yeah.
Wait, there he goes.
I think they were thinking of the film Poltergeist when they did that shot. That's what they were aping.
It's buffering on my phone, but hopefully it's just my phone.
Stay away from the light. Oh, too late. Too late. On the bridge, Worf reports that Commander Riker has been taken from the Enterprise. Dun, 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 dun. And that was the end of Act 4.
It's not just me, it's buffering for Stupin as well.
Oh, is it buffering?
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you have.
Circle
What I've
going
done in
round
my
in
life is
circles.
Got a certain set of skills.
Oh, so have I. Are we? Oh no.
It's live on my tally. No, it's live. We're okay. For
Oh,
most of us.
Sean can still see it.
I have it on YouTube here, and I have it on YouTube on my tally, and both are still moving, so we're okay.
Okay.
YouTube's telling me everything's fine.
Okay, let's continue and fingers crossed.
Okay. Apologies if anyone's experiencing buffering. Question 4. Tavi's okay. Which 2 members of the crew are unaccounted for according to the computer? A. Hagler and Rager. B. Statler and Waldorf. C. Burke and Samno. D. Mariner and Boimler. E. Crichton and Lister. And
That last one was Red
bonus
Dwarf,
question-
by the way, Tavi. Crichton and Lister.
Well, I won't catch anyone with that one now.
Oh, sorry.
know.
Well, I don't think you were going to.
I don't think I was going to. No. Actually, originally it was going to be Fry and Leela, but I was like, no, I'll sneak in a Red Dwarf. And in which future Wild West themed holodeck episode does Ode to Spot reappear? It was mentioned earlier.
That's really weird.
Yeah, I'm just going to close YouTube down and restart it and hope for the best.
It's still moving for me. As I said, I have it on 2 different sources, and they're both moving. So
Well, my phone's definitely died. I haven't got it.
Oh, mine's okay again now. I've restarted. So anybody who's buffering, try and
it might just
stop
be
and
you're
start
watching on the
YouTube.
mobile app, yeah.
I wonder if, the app's
Mine's
go
good
on.
again
So.
now.
I don't know. I'll try.
Yeah, we went from 9 watching to 6 watching, so we lost a few people there.
Oh yeah, as you say, I closed it down and reopened it, and it's fine again. I think that's a YouTube thing. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, the app just had a stutter, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you restart it, it's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
Hopefully
back
you're
to
all
7.
back.
That must be you reconnecting.
Can you just cover the questions again, just because it was all a bit...
Yes, of course. Which 2 members of the crew are unaccounted for according to the computer? Hagler and Rager. Statler and Waldorf. Burke and Samno. Mariner and Boimler. Crichton and Lister.
Very good. All very
And the
good
bonus
answers.
question is, and I didn't trip over every single one of those, and in which future Wild West themed holodeck episode does Ode to Spot reappear? It's only 3 or 4 episodes away. And I'm sure
Okay.
Tavi is happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Scram, you varmint.
Yeah.
So, there are a few bits on Bobby's. It's almost like some real elementary continuity errors and stuff in this episode. I know they were a little bit rushed, perhaps. So, maybe they didn't have the attention to detail that they might normally have. But Crusher's examining Geordie at the beginning of this act and says, "Oh, when I looked at him earlier today, he had elevated serotonin levels." And then Data comes in and says, I was away from the Enterprise for a period of 90 minutes yesterday. And those 2 things were supposed to have happened at the same time. And within a few seconds, they say it's earlier today and yesterday.
Yeah.
And what else? Ensign Rager gets first name in this, Sariel. So, name her just before she's
Gone.
she's in her last episode. And I didn't know, if she'd been in any other things, so I thought I'd look it up. The only thing that she's been in, that you might recognize her from was she was a fairly established part, 23 episodes in Space Above and Beyond.
Oh, yes.
Watched that, didn't you?
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's good. That's a good sci-fi show.
everything else is just one episode in this, one episode, there wasn't really any of this sort of established role, but just thought I'd look that up. We talked about the computer alert for people going missing. I think that it was quite good to show the versatility of the bio bed. So Riker was just sort of, sat there to the side with his arm on the little plate at the side of it, and it did a scan and a whatever. So it's good to sort of see its multifunctional nature. Oh yeah. So there's a bit of a strange one. So I think what they're saying is that when Geordie did the thing when he put he routed stuff to Cargo Bay 4, that has caused this subspace fissure, and that fissure is how that got somebody's attention, and so that is how these aliens are getting to the crew.
That's what they say at the end of the episode, at the end of Act 5, yeah.
Yeah, so because he was saying that my modifications dug pretty deep into subspace, maybe it got somebody's attention.
However,
but at the beginning of the episode, Riker was already like being sleep deprived and already talking to people about how he had a problem. But that was before this had even happened.
Riker was being abducted by him about 2 days before Geordie's thing came online. So
again, is that's just sort of a bit sloppy writing, poor continuity.
While that is sloppy writing, there is a thing called temporal mechanics where the outcome of an event can happen before you do it. So there could be a temporal element to it. I'm absolutely reaching.
It could be, I suppose, if you're talking subspace and tetrions, I guess, there is a possibility there. Or it could have just been foreshadowing that he was just having a few bad nights of sleep. And then that was exacerbated by the fact that he then started getting abducted.
Also, I just realized in this shot, was he sleeping in his full uniform with his shoes on?
Yeah, but that's what he was expecting to be abducted, right? But,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is completely off topic because I forgot to say it earlier, but something Mazda said about something being remastered just dropped it into my head. Yesterday, there was an announcement for the 30th anniversary of Babylon 5. In November, they are releasing the whole show on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
They're also having an animated continuation series coming out. But for Babylon 5 fans, that's if you need a Christmas present, now you know.
Yeah, Monty Ban and I have started rewatching that recently. We're about 10 episodes in or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
about 10 episodes
it'll be out on Blu-ray in 4 months, so a little over 3 months.
Watch it all again.
Always. Never too many times.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that was one other thing with that, Maz. Just to cap that one off, I thought it was weird how, where she discovered that everybody's serotonin levels were raised or something like that. And she was like, I thought Geordie's visor thing was a bacterial problem, but it turns out to be everybody's serotonin levels are raised. I was like, how can you get an unknown bacteria that you've never discovered before and serotonin levels mixed up?
Yeah.
I thought you were a good doctor.
Well, this is the same episode she picked up the scanner the wrong way around.
Yeah.
Maybe she's being abducted too, and
she's tired and don't want to admit it.
Too off to realize it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the time my mother asked me why the television wasn't working, and she had the video player, and she had the video player the wrong way around, pointing at the television, wondering it wasn't working. I'm just like, I'm not sure if I have enough patience to make this work.
So 3 more little points.
Oh, okay.
So Ensign Lieutenant, what's he called? Straggler?
Hagler and
Hagler.
Rager,
Was he the one?
yeah.
No, he was the one who clocked it. So there was a 47
Stadler.
reference. You zoomed in on his door. Another 47 reference, 1947.
Yeah, 1947. Yeah.
But also, Decker said, Worf says, go to Hagler's quarters on Deck 9, Section 17. So they go to Deck 9, Section 19. And then Crusher asks for the medical team to go to Deck 9, Section 19. So again, just another little error. And the sensor that is put onto Riker moves about all over the place. It's up his arm, then it's down by his wrist, then it's on the outside of his forearm. It's in whatever convenient place they want to put it for each shot, so it just doesn't stay consistent. That's it.
Maz says fist for the daters. Bruce says fist for the daters. Montyban says fist for the daters. 1, 2.
Tavikin says fistful of daters.
4.
I think everybody except
We're
Stuplum.
missing someone. Yeah, Stuplum. You didn't say fist for the
Ruth?
daters.
Oh, we did have Ruth, yeah.
You have to take Stuplum off the board. Okay. So answers to the questions then.
Yeah.
Everybody said A.
A.
Yeah, A and
It wasn't Stadler and Waldorf.
Stadler and Waldorf. Where would we know those two from?
It's the worst show I've ever seen.
Oh,
yeah.
that's them.
Yeah.
Who are Birkin's Ham now?
That was the two people who beamed across to the Klingon ships in Star Trek 6 and assassinated Chancellor Gorkon.
Yeah, Mariner and Boimler. This should be
Mariner from
Barrow,
Lower Decks.
Lower Decks.
Yeah, both of and Crichton and Lister.
Crichton and Listy.
Yeah, we already mentioned Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf. Yes.
I'm learning more about Red Dwarf by listening to banter back and forth than I am by actually watching the show.
You really need to just. It's not even. There's like 30 episodes. It's not even that many.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
And
means
you'll
I have to
see the
sit
whole
down.
I'll
30
see if
years.
I'll see if I've got them in my old archive files somewhere. Maybe I could send them to you.
Yeah, but even just the pilot, you would understand so much if you just saw that.
Okay, I'm going to spin that wheel. Oh no.
Yes! Distraction! I love it!
Stuplum lucked out.
Stuplum in a better position then, right?
Yeah.
Wook has the look of the wheel.
Gosh. Jeez. Yeah. So we all lost points apart from Stuplum. He hasn't lost points, but he did last the last 5 minutes. Lost the last 5
But
minutes of the
still,
stream.
it worked out in your favor because you weren't in the draw, and therefore you didn't lose 10 points.
No.
Although you maybe lost out in the first question. So it's probably been long
there's
gone.
nothing I can do. The problem wasn't my end. It seems like YouTube had a bit of a brain
Yeah.
fart.
The YouTube mobile app, if you're watching it on a phone or what have you, or maybe a tablet, just failed.
The
It's
mobile,
okay on PC. It's okay on mobile, Google TV, but just the phones, it just cut out. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry about that, everyone. It should be there if you go back and watch it. If you want to know what happened in the last 5 minutes, you can go back and watch it again and again if you want. You can just watch it on repeat all day, every day if you want. I recommend that. It's good for your well-being.
And can I just point out what I have here? We're still only 11 subscribers off 500. So
I know. And if we could,
just
if
11.
if we get those 11 subscribers, and if we could get another 1,000 watch time, we can have channel members and paid for chats, super chats.
Ooh.
If anybody wanted to tip the stream, we'd have that stream available to us. So feel free to, again, recommend us to any friends.
What
or
is a super chat?
a super chat? Well, instead of chatting in normal live chat there, you've got a little dollar button at the bottom, and you can click that and say, well, I want to give them £2.50, and your chat comes up as a special highlighted big super chat. And,
And the streamer reads it out.
yeah, and we will definitely address the super chats. They don't go by unnoticed, you know. They get
Don't tell Wookie this.
Wookie will be putting all sorts
Yeah,
of
we-
things in the
we-
super
we-
chat that
we
we'll
would
have to
more-
read
we'd
out
be
on stream. Yeah,
Morally obligated to stop the show.
I know.
to-
We would be at Wookie's
whatever it is
mercy.
you put in there.
yeah, that's super chats.
Oh, there's another channel where I abuse that privilege and I come up with some really stupid stuff.
But yeah, we still need a little bit. It'll be probably a year before we get to that point. So, I'm not holding my breath yet, not for some time.
Well, you never know. We just have one stream take off the right way and happen overnight. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
The Facebook group that I was asked to help moderate, like the other moderators seem to have buggered off. I think I'm the only one left now. So it's essentially my channel. Maybe I can put out a subscription
noticed that.
campaign.
Yeah.
There's only like 2,500 people on the channel, but that
Well,
could
you
work.
can
You
add-
could get 11
you can-
subscribers.
You
That'll
can
do
add an
it.
event, and people can click into the event, and then it would have the link.
We
it's
do that
possible.
every week. We do that every
Yeah, I
week.
post the link every week. I don't.
No,
think it's an
no,
event,
I
but
mean-
do
I mean-
post the
I mean-
link every week.
I mean, on Facebook you can add it as an event separately. I don't know.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah. Okay, so Act 5. We're into the final act. I know Stuplum's got his bedtime coming up, so let's get on with it.
Yep.
So Riker finds himself on the table in the room of horrors that the crew were worried about earlier in the episode. Several hooded aliens are busy with other tasks. He can hear the clicking sounds, which we now realise is their language. He looks across and sees Rhaegar unconscious on the other table. There is like a restraint thing across him, but...
Oh, I stand corrected. There is. You're right.
But... yeah, he's kind of laying flat. One of the aliens comes over, so Riker plays possum. The alien removes his phaser and his homing beacon. Back on the Big D, Picard is seeking a report from Geordi, who is having difficulty locking in on the homing device. Data reports that the containment field will only last another 14 minutes, so they divert auxiliary power to buy themselves some more time. Back in the alien lab. Okay, cool.
Sorry, just before you go on, I just on the previous shot, I was just going to say, you see, he has the same red pad that they never use from scene to scene. So clearly, they obviously shot all the scenes in engineering on the same day because he's using the same pad and it was already out.
He's just wandering around with that pad.
Yeah, because you never normally see it, but obviously they shot the two scenes on the however many scenes in engineering on the same day, just for simplicity's sake, which is because you never see that pad, but you see it in two separate scenes. That's all.
Well, they dress the set, don't they, and get all the lighting right, and
they have all the crew there. Yeah.
It's all set up, so yeah, they get everything done at once.
It's nowhere near as janky as last week, but yeah, it's obvious.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mazza, do you have a bit on the beacon? Do you have that in your notes?
This thing
I
here.
don't think so.
Oh, basically, he kept moving from his upper arm to his lower arm inside his arm.
Sorry.
Oh, you did. Yeah. Sorry, apologies.
That's all right.
Anyway, back in the lab, we see Riker still playing possum, and the homing beacon starts blinking with some red lights. So back in engineering, Geordi declares that they've locked on to the signal. Yay! They stand by to emit the graviton pulse, and Data reports that they now only have 9 minutes. Though in a flash, Data now reports that the containment field is failing, so they initiate the pulse. Data first informs them it's working, but then they detect someone's fighting back with subspace harmonics.
They're dropping them fat beats.
Yeah. yeah.
It's a rap battle.
Yeah. Geordi treats the situation like the Borg and starts randomly shifting the pulse frequencies so that the aliens don't have time to adapt. Back in the House of Horrors, Riker's using the alien panic as a diversion to make his move.
Yeah, this is the cheapest set they've ever made in the history of TNG.
It looks so good, cheap. Though.
It kind of looks like a TARDIS.
It does. It's kind of got the one of the TARDISes. Yeah.
The arches.
Yeah. It's got
along the central axis, but yeah, that was
just needs a console in the middle, doesn't it?
I mean, I could put something together like that for about €500. It's so cheap.
It does the job. The Borg maneuver doesn't work, so a hull breach is imminent. So Geordi decides to channel everything into one big burst. So they do it again. Riker starts to panic as time's running out, so he grabs his phaser, he leaps off the table, he shoots one of the aliens and frees Rhaegar. They make their escape through the hole together. Riker and Rhaegar pop out on the other side in the cargo bay, and the rupture collapses into a glowy ball that flies through the cargo bay and out of the Enterprise and away, as alien glowy balls do in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Just on the previous shot, the kind of, I suppose, ribbed kind of wall.
Base.
There was a shot after that. No, there was a shot after that where there was a wall where it wasn't just black.
Oh, I know what you mean. Was it a previous one? I do know what you mean.
You lost it somewhere in the interim, but anyway, there's a wall. There's the one wall that isn't black that just has these kind of red ribbed panels, and they're straight up ripped off a DS9, whatever kind of vacuum forming thing they did to make them.
There it is.
Yeah, that wall. Yeah, those are DS9 panels.
It's the DS9 panels from the corridors.
Yeah, they are, because they obviously had some sort of
They obviously bought them
what's
in
the word?
bulk or something and had a load left
well,
over.
they had a vacuform kind of not frame, whatever they call it, and they stuck it down onto it, probably made out of wood, some sort of rib thing. But yeah, they just spray painted them red. But yeah, those are DS9.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. So, there we go. In the captain's log now, we learn that the Tetrion emissions in Cargo 4, Bay 4 have ceased. There's been no further indication of alien intrusions. All the Enterprise crew are safe and sound and accounted for, but we're still left with some unanswered questions. My question at this point was, what about Hagler? His blood turned to liquid polymer. If the whole crew are now safe and sound and everything's done for, is Hagler okay? did he survive that? We will find
sure
out. We will find out.
I'm sure Statler and Waldorf don't care too much.
No, they don't care.
They're not senior staff.
Encore. Yeah.
Also, I love they have the. It's a great shot where you see the real lights, the red and the green. It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
To let you know where's port and where's starboard. It's a good one.
I do love the line to the underbelly of the D.
It's good. Yeah. Oh no, I've lost it.
I think the technical term is called the taint.
Oh my.
It's textured for your pleasure.
Yeah. The little phaser emitters and the thrusters.
It's one of those shows.
Okay, so in the observation lounge, data reports that the tricorder readings showing the aliens to be solanogen based. Whatever a solanogen based life form is, they were one of those. But it meant that they couldn't exist in our space. So they were basically terraforming Cargo Bay 4 into their own environment so they could exist here.
They don't have a permit for that.
They do not have permits.
They just found out. Be like, no.
No. You can't park there. LaForge hypothesizes that they discovered the ship due to his modified sensor signals and suggests he's warned Starfleet not to perform such modifications on other vessels in the future, as we mentioned earlier, despite the fact it all started about 2 days before he'd come up with the bloody thing. But we'll let that slide.
Blame that guy.
We'll just realise that maybe Geordie doesn't know what he's talking about. They discuss the alien intent, and Data postulates that maybe they were just explorers. But Riker notes that Lieutenant Hagler is dead. And
He's dead, Dave.
He's dead, Dave. And the experimentation on various crew members indicates that their motive behind them was beyond mere curiosity. And that's how we
I
have the
doubt
episode.
that. I think that's a bit much for them to presume. I was like, you guys spend a lot of time, learning stuff by poking around on the different creatures on our planet and all the animals we've tested on. So it's like, how do you say that they're just trying to be maniacal? For all they know, they found this squishy pink amoeba, and there's another amoeba with a wrinkly head, and there's another amoeba that's a different color, and metal on it. It's like, you cut off the arm and you put it right back on. Wow.
That's just Riker showing the fact that he was slightly traumatized from this experience and for having his limbs chopped off.
I mean, look at him.
Yeah, other people go, maybe they were just exploring, and he's like, I was there. It was,
I was there.
Not like that.
There's going to be a war story he tells his children in the future, isn't it? You know, the time he had his limbs removed by these aliens from subspace. But
I was just going to say, though, I forget the exact story, but it was on QI. But basically, it was a woman, and she was an entomologist. She studied bugs, and she managed to discover 4 species unknown to science in her back garden just by looking hard enough. So even within Earth, we're still experiencing. If you just look hard enough in any given spot, you don't need to necessarily go to the tropics or the Andes. Just if you look hard enough in any given area, you can probably find life.
Find something.
Especially when it
it
comes
is.
to insects, their level of
Yeah,
advancement.
specialization. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's because they're so small. Like, I mean, insects don't need lungs because they're so small. They can just take air from. They don't need to pump air around their systems because they're so tiny. Which means they can diversify and change a lot faster than we can. They're smaller and therefore more agile.
Yeah. I always wondered that when, like, I squirted ants with my water pistol when I was a kid, and they'd like sit there in the water for a while, and then eventually, when they dried off, they'd just wander away. And I'd be like, how do they manage to hold their breath that long?
Yeah, but they don't have breath in the
Are they
traditional sense.
fish?
They just absorb oxygen through their
They
skin
do.
because
They
they're so
do,
small.
yeah.
There's no need to pump it through their systems. They just take it from the air. They've no lungs. Don't need them.
Yeah.
But little
just-
Monty
it's-
did not know that.
Little
Did
Monty
he?
did not know that.
Yeah.
Little Monty, when he watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in the cinema when he was like 10 years old, didn't think to himself, how are they breathing the oxygen molecules when they're tiny
Yeah.
little people and their lungs would never be able to process the oxygen molecule sizes that they're now having to try to breathe in.
There is
think
an
about
episode of Deep Space Nine that covers that quite well.
Yeah.
I think it's called One Little Chip, but they shrink a runabout down to the size of a pack of cards. It's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Are they that
that's
the one
it.
where they're the ornament, the Christmas ornament?
No, that's
No,
Generations.
Okay.
Oh no, that's
No, that's the original
sorry,
series.
That's Voyager, I think.
No,
it's Quinn.
Q. Oh,
That would be
Episode
Voyager
Quinn.
then.
Where
that's
the two
Voyager.
Qs have
Yeah.
have a chase. Yeah, Quinn is the episode you're thinking of. Yeah.
there's a TOS episode though where they with the I've forgotten what he's called. Turns the Enterprise into a decoration.
I know the one you're on about, and I can't remember.
He's like a Q-like character. Of
Trevelyan.
yeah, that's
Trudeau
the one.
or not?
Trevelyan or
Trelane.
Trelane,
that's
yeah.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
I've been in Canada too
it's
long.
the same actor that plays the Klingon. Korv.
Oh, he
or
plays
whatever.
Kodos. Yeah.
Kodos, that's it. Yeah.
Or,
Anyway,
no, not
we're at the
Kodos.
end of the episode. Have you got questions? And Maz, your last bits?
Yeah. I'll throw the questions out and Miles can fire away. So, which type of pulse do they use to close a rift? A graviton, B bryon, C tetryon, or D omega? And what is the name of the civilian who was also abducted amongst the senior staff? A Kaminar, B Kaminoan, C Kazinti, or D Kelpian?
Kelpian.
Yeah, I like Kelp.
So, co-producer Wendy Noyce said that it was one of the weirdest and funniest experiences she had when they had to develop the clicking language. So they come up with some different ideas of what noises they wanted to use. Then they actually wrote a script of what they thought these aliens were saying in English, and then they converted it, and then they sort of got people to record it with how they thought the emotions should go and the speed and the volume, depending on whether it was sort of just, calm medical talk or whether it was we're in a panic because they're trying to sever out. And then she said, there's one point where they had like all these people together doing all like the clicking, and she was just like, I had to leave the room. I couldn't believe I was doing this. This is my job, making all these people click at me.
Brilliant.
What's the name of those little creatures that live on Wembley Green?
Wombles.
Wombles, yeah. And they communicate by whistles, but they had actually a script, and they were trying to communicate, and people could understand them based on what the whistles were conveying. It's amazing the human mind to adapt to different styles of communication. Where you think about sign language, you think about written language, how different they are from spoken language, but
Yeah.
we somehow find a way.
It's like quite often in Star Wars, you can work out what R2-D2 is saying with a few beeps.
Yeah.
Well, but what actually happened is someone spoke the lines, and then they ran it through some sort of synthesizer that changed it into clicks and beeps. But he did actually say the lines, and it wasn't random. There wasn't a conveyed intent there.
Yeah.
What else? Sorry. I also thought that while he was laying there playing possum, as you put it,
Oh,
surely the aliens would have been able to tell that he wasn't really under. Like they had all that medical
Yeah.
equipment and scanning equipment, and they were quite highly advanced. Like
yeah.
you'd know whether somebody was unconscious,
Heart
or whether
rate,
their heartbeat
or
was,
so
so it's a
all
bit
these
weird.
things, all these indicators. I think Wookiee's right. Wombles spoke, didn't they? Normally.
It was
Are
a
you
little
think-
bit before my time.
Are you
so I'm
thinking
not
of
100%.
clangers?
Oh, he says you're thinking of the clangers.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you're thinking of the clangers from They
Yeah,
Lived
it
on
was,
the
it
Moon.
was a
'Cause they're like-
whistle thing.
Yeah, I think
That's what I'm thinking of.
I think
Yeah.
you're thinking clangers. I mean, it was before
Oh,
my
okay.
time, to be fair, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that I remember their little noses used to tweak as they spoke the words. You know.
But my understanding is that there was a script in front of the people doing the speech, and they were reading it out as they were doing the whistles, but they were trying to hit certain intonations as if they were talking English.
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, people were able to understand it based on that. It's amazing, even when people speak languages you don't understand. There's so many cues you pick up on that you're still getting 20% of it, even though they're speaking Japanese at you. You still kind of get what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to talk the finer points of international politics, but you're going to roughly get what they're trying to get across.
Is it clangers, Wookiee? Is that what I'm? Is that,
Yeah. I think you may be right on that one.
Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt.
Oh, it's okay. And the other thing I thought, like when they said, "Oh, there's some risks to sending you back with stimulants and stuff," it sounded like medical risks of having high stimulants. But I was thinking, surely the biggest risk was he'd go back and be fully awake, and they would like pluck an eyeball out or do whatever the experiment they were going to do next, and he was like
Yeah.
fully awake. I mean, either he'd have to, sort of try and keep stum or break his cover, but yeah,
He's Riker.
actually,
He'll-
but here, they tried to chop his other arm off right now. So also there was a bit of a error when he picked up Ensign Rhaegar. He sort of swept her up, and his tricorder or his something went clattering to the floor, and then he ran through the hole in space, and then it was magically back in his holster. And I also thought it was a little bit tone deaf of Picard in his log to say that all crew members were safe and accounted for, except because one of them actually died.
Yeah, I was like that. I was like, in the log, he was just like, luckily everybody's safe and sound. I was like,
Not quite.
Well,
what about the polymer guy? He was.
Crewmen don't count.
I'm pretty sure he's dead. And then Riker says
He's
at the
dead,
end, he died. And I was like, oh, Picard, you heartless bastard. Yeah.
That was it.
That was it. And it's kind of one of those episodes where they kind of set it up like, after Riker goes, maybe what they were after was beyond mere curiosity. And then it kind of goes off into the space as the Enterprise travels off into the distance, and you're left with that kind of kind of like ominous, eerie music. And you think, oh, I wonder if we're going to ever see these people again and find out what they were after. No. Never. I don't think we ever hear from them again. Sadly. That would be a thing to pick up with in a future series, though, if they ever make proper Star Trek in the future again,
Well, Star Trek has no Russell T Davies to bring all these things together 2 or 3 years later.
You mean people that
That was a
care?
Doctor Who
Yeah.
reference. Yeah. Sorry, Tavi, you don't watch Doctor Who, but sometimes they drop this random thread into an episode that you've never seen before, and then like 2.5 years, 3 years later, they just pick it up again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, you were sowing that seed that long, never saw it. It's great when it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So everybody start thinking about your scores for this episode at 0 to 10. Put it in chat. What do you think? Also put into chat, and this is just something that's dawned on me during this episode. We're on episode 5 of season 6, and we haven't changed the background for this season of the stream. We're still it's still in Data's lab from season 5. And I've just suddenly remembered, we got to change the background each season. So where should we go?
We're moving away from Data's quarters.
Where should we go in the D next? Next week,
What
put some
about the
ideas
ops
into
console,
chat.
Data's console?
just put some ideas in chat, and we can go through them. And why have I got a feeling it's going to be? Let's go Data's bathroom. Data science
I don't think he has a bathroom. Does he have one?
Can we go to Data's point on the bridge? I don't know. Yeah, let's all sit around Data's poetry recital. Anyway, put your ideas. Where should the big background for the rest of the season 6 streams be?
Well, to answer your
Jeffrey's
question,
Tube.
we can't create something. It's just anywhere that's on the stage 9 recreation.
We
of
could
the
be in a
Enterprise.
Jeffrey's Tube. That's not a bad shout, Reef. I quite like that.
Yeah, well, you can be in a Jeffrey's Tube or 10
Specifically
forward, the
A36.
observation lounge.
I got to vote for Jeffrey's Tube. Can you put Data in the Jeffrey's
Yeah,
Tube?
with Data. Yeah. Holodeck. That's not a
In
bad
the tube,
shout.
then out of the tube, then in the tube again, and so on. Do the hokey pokey.
So, answer to the question, Sean.
Yeah, I'm just trying to point out that Ruth hasn't answered the questions. I can't
Any
see her
bingo
answers.
scores? You need to get them,
That's fine.
Tavi,
Okay.
to Mars.
Being silly.
Okay, Ruth is
Say,
called
no,
away.
wait.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait.
Get
We'll
in
wait
there,
on Ruth.
Ruth, quickly. Don't see any marks out of 10 either yet, so get them in there, please, peoples. On the
Oh my
board, I think we have everybody except Stuplum, probably. And maybe not Ruth either. She's answered the first question now. That's the main big point.
A and A.
So that's
There we go.
Yes, okay.
We got
There we go.
Ruth in.
We got it. We got it.
We got her in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I made the same question twice. Graviton is correct, Graviton beam, but it was a Tetrion that Tetrion at the start, the original question, and it was Kaminer. Kaminoan, you know what the Kaminoan is, Monty, or anyone else?
Hang on. I just want to see it spelt. Where is it?
Camino, isn't that a type of car?
It might be, but that's not what I'm going for.
No, that's not. No, don't know.
Reminds me of
they're
edible octopus.
They're the cloners from Star Wars, the ones that create all the clones.
Oh
all
yeah, I was
that.
wondering why that sounded familiar.
Oh yeah,
Kazinti, you know
Those-
what the Kazinti are?
Yeah, aren't those from Enterprise? No. No,
I don't think they were an Enterprise, but
that's
they
the
were in the
Xindi.
reboot.
Dominion War?
You're thinking of the
Dominion folk?
Xindi.
They were in the animated series, and no, you're thinking of Xindi. Yeah, they're in the animated series. They were in some of the films and a couple of other places. Kazinti are they're a cat-like species.
Cats. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Lower
one
Decks.
in Lower Decks, isn't it? The Doctor in Lower Decks is a Kazinti.
Oh, you're right. She is indeed. And Kelpian, you know what a Kelpian is?
Yeah,
Yes, Suru!
Saru from
Saru,
Discovery.
the only Star Trek character in Discovery. Yes.
That's worth a damn, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The big tall guy played by I forget the guy's name, but he's in everything. The big
He's really
tall
good.
lanky guy.
He's
Is
the
it
only
Dave?
good bit. He's the only good bit about Discovery.
Okay,
Yeah.
first of all, I just tallied up bingo, and you are haven't making me do it over and over and over again. Jesus.
Sorry.
All right, guys,
Okay.
get us some scores in the chat. We have
We
Stu,
got
we have
some.
Ruth.
We got some.
Yeah.
Yep, we got some
Whoop,
sevens.
Give us a score.
7.
Let me just start over.
Whilst she's working on the scores and working on the bingo things, I'll just have a little quick chat, just general chat. I'm up to date with Strange New Worlds.
I'm not,
Good.
but you can go ahead and discuss it if you like.
Well, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but
It's not exciting me. I'm enjoying watching it, but I'm not excited. I'm not running home to watch it like it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and I'm 12. It's like, oh right, okay.
it's
guess I
just
better watch
become
it today.
Discovery-fied.
Yeah,
It's like
getting a bit
watching
dull.
teen drama kind of.
Oh, sad
Just
times.
it's just like I don't know, like Hollyoaks in space or something, you know. It's like a soap opera rather like Discovery. It's just got no real Star Trek substance to it at all. I did quite like the episode they went back in time. I thought of all the episodes in this season so far, that was probably the best one. But then maybe because it
Ruth
had
is loving it.
Kirk in it. But I'm not loving it, Ruth. I'm not loving it. It's not for me.
It's just okay.
I like the fact you like it though, Ruth. That's cool. At least you're getting some pleasure out of it. So that's
She does
good.
say it took her 3
news.
seasons to realise Discovery was rubbish, so at least she's now with you on that as well.
Oh, well, yeah, you get there in the end.
But I will say, this week is episode 6, and tomorrow is episode 6, and next week is episode 7. Now, if anyone happens to be going to San Diego Comic-Con this weekend, they're showing episode 7. Episode 7 is the Lower Decks crossover. I don't know if it's a holodeck adventure. They haven't quite explained it, but I am looking forward to that because I love Lower Decks. I think it's fantastic. So, yeah, the season it's not good. It's not awful. It's just whatever. But,
I give it all a serious big meh.
That's it. But I mean, I guess it's
anyway.
just like the paradigm shift of the new generation that's coming. It's almost mirroring the type of audience that needs to watch it and to
It's
enjoy
the
it. And
TikTok generation or whatever, it's just not for me, and that's fine. I'm happy with people enjoying it, and it's for them. It's just I'm not the audience, and that's fine. It's just not for me.
But with all these, obviously the writers and now actor strike going on, obviously there's going to be disruptions. So we're not going to get 50 episodes a year as we've been used to the last 2 years. And what's amazing is they've cancelled Prodigy. They have 20 episodes ready to go.
I know. They made it. I mean, it's crazy.
And they now have this huge hole in their schedule because all the 4 or 5 shows they have are all going to be 2 or 3 episodes behind. And 20 episodes of a show to plug that gap would be amazing. But so I wouldn't be surprised if they bought Prodigy back just to plug the holes in their own schedule because they've nothing else to go in there. So I'm hoping they do that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy cancelling a series and not even showing it when you've made an entire series. I mean, I don't understand that at all.
But it doesn't even cost that much money. I mean, an episode of Strange New Worlds goes to about 8 million. 20 episodes of Prodigy goes to about 22 million. So for 3 episodes of Strange New Worlds, you get 20 episodes of Prodigy. I mean,
yeah.
It's so cheap to make. So it's not even that much money in Hollywood terms. So yeah, I'm really hoping they just decide to just basically turn 180 and just put it we'll see what happens.
I think Wookie's question is, do I like Blake 7?
Blake 7,
rather than
yeah.
Blake's Heaven. It was one of my favorite sci-fi shows growing up. I've watched the whole series many, many times. I used to have them on VHS, but I love Blake 7. It's fantastic. I wouldn't mind I wouldn't honestly mind if they kept true to Blake 7. I wouldn't mind if they remade it. It could really be like a really good show like Babylon 5 or something, because it's so epic in scope. And I like the fact that the main characters are kind of, they're not perfect. They're not necessarily good guys. And my favorite character, Avon, he's almost an anti-hero, really. He's almost a bad guy. He just does not give shits about anyone apart from himself. It's quite refreshing. But yeah,
I can respect that in a way. There's something refreshing about dealing with a person who just isn't fake, who just talks to you as a person. Yeah, you just go, oh yeah, we'll touch base on that later. It's great to see you. Yeah, just talk to me like a human being, not like a robot.
but like a lot of shows, like Doctor Who of the time, the effects are awful, like joke worthy. The budget was minuscule, but you just got to watch it with an eye of using your imagination. Use your imagination what the effects should look like, and sort of replace that with what you're actually seeing.
Well,
Can we do scores and maybe pick this up as after chat?
Sorry,
So let's do
yeah,
something
sorry,
with
I'm
that.
going
Yeah,
on.
all
Sorry,
right.
scores then. Let's.
You got the bingo scores, Tavikins.
Nearly had to start freaking over because he started talking about Strange New Worlds and somebody else got bingo.
Oh, sorry, I was doing that to help you out, to give you some time. I was like doing filler.
Well, I go
Well,
find my
that
yellow
backfired.
uniform.
I'm only up to card 17 out of 40.
But if you do
I'm
have a
moving, I'm
chance
Next
moving.
to-
Hold
time,
on.
maybe once you start counting them up, that'll just have to be the.
Yeah, you just have to call quits.
Because Sean will
Yeah.
keep talking and filling, and then you'll keep having to start over. And
Yeah,
over
yeah.
and over.
But this is the first time. This is the first time Mr. Chatterbox has just gone after point count. So,
Yeah, so,
but we
sorry about
can't
that.
do it there. It's your fault, Monty.
Well, you spin the wheel, Monteban.
Not yet. No, I didn't know who's on. Who should be on it.
Get
I
the
was
wheel
just getting.
spun.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
was just.
everybody's on the wheel. Get the wheel spun.
Okay,
Do
I'll
that
do
bit.
that. I can do that bit.
Did you put Stew Plum back in, or
Stew Plum.
Yes, Duplum needs to go on.
Okay.
Does he?
Stew. I'll put him on there anyway. Right.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think he answered the second question. Actually.
We'll put him on there anyway. Stew Plum. Right, here we go. It's going to be Ruth again.
It's Roofies.
spin of the wheel?
All right, but she said she likes Strange New Worlds, so I'm not sure whether to congratulate her this
She
time.
said what?
She likes Strange New Worlds. I don't know whether to congratulate her this time. But no, well done, Ruth.
Season
Well
1
done,
was
Ruth.
fine. It's just season 2 is fairly up and down.
Man. Well done. Yes, no, it's very good. Well done, Ruth. You get the extra points. Yes, Wookie, I would recommend Blake 7. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Definitely watch that. I'm ready with the spreadsheet to find out where we all are in the old thing.
Yep. Just waiting on the bingo scores.
Just give me 1 second. I'm almost done. I'm almost there. I'm at 33 out of 40.
Oh no.
Okay, we'll
Wiki
call it
says, if I
moratorium.
was hosting, I would have a stationary wheel and
Oh,
have an
no.
animated helicopter dick spinning around to point out. He says he meant a helicopter blade spinning around to point out.
Yes.
Okay, 36. I'm
I'll
almost
give
there.
you a.
Oh my.
Yeah, oh my goodness. There's
Yeah,
actually
lots
like
of
this
sevens
weird
and
spoof
fives,
that
yeah.
has that something like that. It's like an
It's
actual
annoying that-
cartoon.
I
Knowing you
didn't
have to
blade
manually
get
go
predicted.
through the sheets, you don't have like a master sheet. You can just tick them and then it just updates them,
Yeah.
Wholesale, rather than you going through each sheet individually.
And now I'm gonna have to put that in as a comment. That to me, I'm like, okay, why do I need to check all of these? Just give me a sheet that tells me which cards won, and where and how.
Yeah, that's not the best systems.
Okay,
I
should we
think
go
I'm
for the paddle
done.
score then?
I got. Hold on, let me get those to mess
Maybe
up.
what?
Should we go for the paddle score?
Yeah, we can go for paddles.
Somebody tells me Maz is giving a 7.
Oh, did I just flash it?
You might have flashed. You might have flashed the
Little bit.
camera. I'm going to change mine now. No, I'm not.
What did I do last week? 6, 5,
Are we ready?
6.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2,
Oh,
1,
I was early.
go!
Some
Seven,
eights.
seven.
So pretty consistent scores throughout.
So I'm 7. You're a 7. Tavigan's 7. And you're an 8. And the audience
You're an
average.
No, I'll do that in the bathroom. Thank you.
What was the audience average then? There was a 7 from Stu Plum, a 7 from Ruth. Is that the only scores we got in? I think. A 7 from Wookie. So yes.
I think it was 2 7s in the chat. Yeah.
So yeah, the
Stu
average
and
for them
Ruth both gave
is 7.
7s. Yeah.
I
Alright.
take it Stu doesn't have any bingo cards, does he?
He never.
Yeah, we'll have to get him set up because he'll dip
He's
out.
missing out on
otherwise.
points.
Okay.
that
so
makes this
that-
Bingo,
episode-
really. There's a lot of bingo this week.
That
That-
definitely changed things up. I'd already started putting things in, but yeah, that's made a bit of a difference.
That it's the second
Sorry?
highest episode of the season, behind Time's Arrow Part 2. It blew Relics and Realm of Fear out of the water, which I'm a little surprised about, but yeah, it's a good episode.
Yeah,
It's a good episode.
I thought it'd be the season leader, but apparently the horror elements weren't strong enough. Well, next week we have a Q episode. The problem is probably the weakest Q episode, certainly the weakest Q episode of TNG. So, it is True Q, where there is a, I suppose, an intern, or what do you call her, a college student on the ship, and Q comes to interact with her and find out all about her, and tells her a little bit about where she came from.
Yep.
Yeah, so as Q episodes go, it's definitely the weakest of TNG, but there's probably one or two Voyager ones that are better than it. So
It was great for the background story of the Q and their dynamic and place in the Star Trek, Star Trek universe, because there wasn't a lot, but it did give like a lot of info. But I guess we can talk about that next week.
We can talk about that next week.
Yeah.
And now I'm old and boring, I might actually like it. So I might completely change my tune. Who knows? You never know what you're going to
on
find.
the episode Quinn, but yeah, I think the weakest Q episode is the one in Deep Space Nine. That was awful. It was so
Have we got some scores then for the?
We do. Oh, I love the
Fab.
Deep Space Nine one. It cracks me up.
Okay.
How, the chemistry between him and Benjamin.
Cisco, where he just
That
punches
is
him.
good.
You,
That is
you
good.
hit me. You
You
never
hit
hit
me.
me. He goes,
That is
I'm
good.
not the card.
Yeah, that is good.
Well, I suppose
Yeah.
Cisco is kind
Okay.
of part god. Who knows? Anyway,
Well, I was in about 4th or 5th place, but then after scoring 30 points on the bingo, that catapulted me into 1st place somehow, so I get 10 points.
I don't like this
Woohoo!
bingo thing.
430
It's
TNG points in total.
too. That's too weighty on the
Huzzah!
bingos.
Huh? Yeah. She's getting a con yell. Measure!
And Ruth got into 2nd place, so 9 points for Ruth, only 5 points behind with 425 TNG points.
Yeah.
Next, we have Stu Plum with 420 TNG points, so again, only 5 behind. He could have come first if he was on the bingo. So that's 8 points on the leaderboard. Tavi gets 7 points on the leaderboard with 410 TNG review points. Then Monty is only 10 behind.
How
that with
many
400
for
TNG points.
Tavi? Sorry,
7.
7. That's 44.
And 6 for Monty Band.
6. 30. How did I do
And
so
then-
badly? I answered nearly everything right today.
Yes,
The
unfortunately.
bingo.
you get a
spinning the wheel
single
on the bingo just
real
didn't
right.
help you.
I don't
And you
like
didn't get
bingo anymore. Bingo's
bingo.
banned from the stream. I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
Monty has spoken.
Banning the
Mushroom
bingo.
Stuplum.
Mushroom.
But yeah, Stuplum, unfortunately for Stuplum, was in the lead until Ruth and I got some bingo points. Or he was joint first with Ruth until the bingo points came in. So Ash and the Beard also got some bingo points, so they get 5 points each. Dave Pratt gets 3 points, and Andrew gets 2 points.
Hang on. The beard.
Ash and the Beard, 5 points.
Oh, Ash and the beard. Oh, I didn't do. Oh, I've done this wrong. I did to Andrew. And 14, and 9, and then what?
And then Dave Pratt gets 3 points. Dave and the subspace
Dave.
chatter.
3.
And Andrew gets 2.
Andrew gets 2.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The beard and Ash got nearly as many points as I did, even though they weren't here and didn't answer any questions, and I answered pretty much all the questions
we could take a
right.
judgment on whether we want to give bingo
That's
points to
not
people
right.
who aren't on the screen.
How's that fair?
I mean, we did see Panko in the background, so if she got bingo points, definitely. But yeah, I mean, obviously Dave only kind of watched 1 week, I think. So, I don't know if we want to to include in the next season, being that we've gone into another season now?
As this affected me detrimentally, and it's my
Are
stream.
you traumatized?
Watch how the rules are going to change next week.
Okay, that's
Well,
fine.
we enjoyed the bingo because then it would like shake some stuff up. Because when we're all doing the quiz, all of us know all the answers because we're geeked out,
I know. I was
and
enjoying it.
then it's just this tie, and then this is like Wookiee messes up the wheel, but then you've got the bonus, and then you've got bingo. That's like surprise.
Well, I will
Surprise,
point out,
motherfucker!
I obviously have stupid questions like what is Spot's gender, where anyone who answers gets it right, or extremely difficult questions that almost nobody will get right. But that is partially to upset the wheel, to upset the chance, so it's not too easy for anyone.
Okay. So we're looking at Tavikins as lead has reduced slightly to Ruth, who's
Still
now catching
there,
her.
top of the pops.
Still top of the pops. And now it's a three-way tie for myself, Stuplum, and Mazin Bob. The real McCoys are nipping at their heels in third place. This would be the McCoy Syndicate. Which is funny.
Right.
Which is
Fantasy
funny.
Grand Prix.
It's funny for me and Maz, but means nothing to anyone else.
But we can do it for the bingo if someone hasn't showed up, like in the last two shows, their cards don't count or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair push out. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Ash and Gujon, they do usually pitch in, but yeah, there's probably people that haven't watched since middle of last season that we probably don't want to keep including.
Yeah. Still, that was good. It was good. I think it was a good show. It was a good episode. It was a good, fun episode. I like the mild horror elements. I like the scene. I know it's kind of ridiculous how the holodeck kind of interprets their commands.
It was quite eerie though, but yeah.
Even now, when I was doing my notes, it still made my arms go goosebumpily, when the clicking started and it went to all their faces and you hear the clicking in the darkness, and I was just like,
Jordy says, I've been in this room.
Yeah, it still gives you like the goosebumps,
Yeah, the problem is, as I said, I'm a little bit younger than the rest of you, sorry, but I'm 37, turning 38. But even at that, like, I'm young enough that it's kind of hard to remember the first time I saw these episodes. I'm sure I was terrified of this episode when I first saw it when I was 7 or 8. It must have absolutely shocked me. But it's hard to put myself back in that mind space again. But
it was one of those episodes when it came out that, my God, this is not a fluffy TNG. It was like, oh, this is like a bit horror. It's a bit scary.
Well, I can't remember my shock or trauma off that one properly in my brain. But some episodes buried easier in my brain than others, and back in the day it was on telly, and if you missed it, that was it. There was no catch up. You just they might show it a year later and maybe you catch it, but you either saw it or you didn't. If you didn't happen to be home that day, that was
somebody had to record it.
Yeah. It was good.
I mean,
it was good.
When Sky came along around 97, 98, they used to show episodes. I think they used to show an hour or 2 hours of episodes every day, and you kind of started to catch back up again. But
1 hour, 5 o'clock every day on Sky One. And you remember me saying I was working at British Aerospace when I was in my late teens and early 20s. Well, my next door neighbour to my parents at the time, Ivor, he had Sky and we didn't have Sky. And of course, I was at that time buying episodes like as they come out, like around this time actually.
They were so pricey.
Yeah, they were like £16 for 2 episodes every other week or whatever. And I didn't have like the first 3 seasons or 4 seasons because I started buying them like around season 4, season 5. And when it started playing on Sky One every day, I used to like have to leave work at 4, and then I'd run, and it was quite a way from work to where I lived in Thornbury. It was quite a way, and I'd run the whole way to grab my VHS, run next door, get it in their machine, and start it recording just as the episode starts. So I had them
And
all
then
on.
get the brakes cut out. Yeah, yeah.
I
you remind me of
sit
my
and
brother.
cut out the brakes. Yeah, I cut out all the brakes, and yeah, he let me do that for like a couple of years.
Yeah, my brother was like that when his friends were ringing. He was like, "Ring me back later. Star Trek's on," and he'd just hang up the phone. If he happened to be out of the house for some reason, he'd delegate it to me. My brother's 7 years older than me, so he was like 19, and I was like 12.
And this
But like,
was-
it'd be very rare he'd let me record it because I'd mess up the brakes. I wouldn't get them quite right by his standards.
And this was just such an exciting time because TNG was like at the height of its powers. Like the episodes at this point hadn't looked more slick. You know, they'd gotten to like
Yeah.
a polish where they looked the bee's knees by now. You know, where the first few seasons were a bit ropey in places, now everything, the lighting, the camera work, everything, the music looked slick. And now we were just getting Deep Space Nine coming out on VHS for the first time.
Yeah.
The whole new Star
Season
Trek
one and-
show.
Season 1 and Season 2 of Deep Space Nine, whatever way they filmed it, whatever film stock or whatever lighting they used, look god awful even now. But you know, the Season 6 and Seasons 5, 6, 7 of TNG were, you know,
They
did
started with a
hone their
really
craft at that
a
stage.
misty filter because if you look even in TNG in season 5 and now, if they're on a planet or something, they use a sort of
Yeah.
slight blurry filter to the thing to make it look kind of alien. And they carried that blurry filter all the way through the first half of Deep Space Nine as well to give it that
Yeah,
eeriness.
And they didn't know how to light everything, so just had all the lights on full, just blasting on them everywhere. So the lighting was pretty awful. But we'll get to Deep Space Nine, and probably by Christmas of next year.
But what you got to remember is it looks awful by Deep Space Nine standards, but by TNG standards, when you go straight from TNG to Deep Space Nine, at the time, it still looked completely different because the
And the
sets
sets look
Yeah.
were
epic.
just so different
the
than anything
sets-
we've ever seen
the sets are
in
amazing.
Star Trek. You know, it
Well,
was just,
I'm just saying
it
the
was
lighting was
mind-blowing.
off.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yes, it was exciting times that we're heading into.
I didn't get to see any of these episodes like in real time. Mine was like it was already in like syndication, so they were never in order, and they had a lot of reruns going on, and I could never get home in time. But I did like to see all these episodes afterwards. But I do understand all of the excitement of running home to see it. Mine was more like, "Ugh, I'm not going to be home. We didn't have a VCR because I had like a black and white television, and it was like a square one, so I didn't have a VCR or anything, and I couldn't take the VCR into my room to record it. And I was the only nerd in the house that was a Trekkie nerd, and everyone else was a Star Wars.
So just to explain, basically, the BBC and RT, the Irish broadcaster, were about 2.5, 3 years behind what the US were doing. And then all of a sudden, Sky paid TV came along, cable, as you call it in America, and
Yeah.
they were only 6 months behind. So there was this kind of 2 year kind of jump all of a sudden, where I'm a little bit too young to remember this, but pretty much if you got Sky, it was like a year and a half the middle that you hadn't caught up on, and it was just as Deep Space Nine was coming in. And we had Sky in my house because my father loved darts and golf and snooker, and he wanted to see all those things, so he paid for it. But as I said, whatever it was, a Tuesday night, 7 o'clock you had TNG, 8 o'clock you had DS9, and then it went from DS9 to DS9 and Voyager, and you had that golden period. It was like every Tuesday night, I was like, "Shut up, it's on. Yeah, don't change the channel. It's fine."
I think that's what I was doing
was,
around this period. I was like watching season
Yeah, you were
2
catching up.
on BBC. I was buying season 5 and season 6 on VHS, and I was getting everything in
Watching the
between
new
on a
stuff
daily
on Sky,
basis
yeah.
from Sky. It was just massively exciting.
But my first job in the year 2000, I was collecting glasses in a nightclub, and I was getting £3 an hour, Irish pounds, but for simplicity, they were more or less the same as British pounds. And as I said, we went to Dublin occasionally for a day trip, and you'd pay £8 or £9 return on the bus, and it would be £12 or £13 in Forbidden Planet to get one tape. It was like 5 hours of work to buy one tape
Yeah.
with 2 episodes on it. Yeah, it was so much money, and not to count the fact that I had to travel over 3 hours to Dublin and back, even to get it. It was yeah.
At the same time, I was buying all the Starlog magazines. I was buying
Kathy's comics.
I was buying all Kathy's comics and Purple Haze, the comic shops in
and the
town.
fact files.
I was buying the fact files. I was buying all the comics. I was buying the VHS. I was buying the figures,
books,
the models, the books, anything. Basically, the posters, the Hamilton collection plates and figurines.
Oh, nice.
Basically, if I had anything on it with Star Trek written on it, I was buying it. And I've got boxes in the loft full of just Star Trek stuff that I haven't even got out. I wouldn't know where to put it. You know, I've just got stuff.
Well, I had all my stuff from 5 Christmases and birthdays, and all my from like, I don't know, 10 to 16. And my father moved house and he said, "Oh, I don't know what to do with that." my TNG bridge, my 40 or 50 or 60 figures, my phaser, my tricorder, it all just it ended up in the skip. It's all gone.
Sadness.
Yeah, it just I was busy moving the house. I don't know what I did with it. That's what he said. So
Yeah.
that's all I got out.
Yeah. So there we go. I will get all that stuff out of the. I will get all that stuff out of the loft someday. My models and plates.
We need to revive your figure of the week.
Well, no, I can't because I mean, just looking through my bag, the rest of them are quite boring because I got things like a Klingon, right?
No, okay.
But then
Is it not a specific Klingon then?
no, it's not. It's just I think it's just like generic Klingon. But then if you're gonna have a Klingon, you need
A Klingon army?
You need a Klingon army, don't you? So you get 2 Klingons, but then you think, well, two Klingons don't look impressive enough. You need 3 Klingons, but I'm pretty sure if I look through this bag, I've got another Klingon. Oh, wait a minute.
There's some great.
I've got another Klingon.
Okay,
So,
I realize
if anybody wants any, you see, I got this with Romulans and with Borg,
So that they could be the evil armies that you face up against.
Yeah, there you go. So with the main characters, I just got one of, but then with generic aliens, you kind of want a few. So
were you playing with these, or were you setting them out on
No, you want to set them out if you got the bridge set and you got Data at Com and you're being invaded by a rogue Borg thing or a rogue Klingon army or something, you can't just have one Klingon, can you? You want to have one breaking through the doors. You want one manhandling Worf. You want one. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to make a display out of it, you need multiples. So
you need an invading army.
You do.
When these guys came along, there was Chief O'Brien as a Klingon. There was Cisco as a Klingon. There was Kang, Kodos, and Tor. They made other ones later.
So I got
TNG era, not so much.
a Romulan. And I'm sure if I look through this
Oh,
bag...
you have Spock as a Romulan somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He does, yeah, he showed us.
I got another Romulan. And I'm sure if I look through a bit further, I'll find another
You know what
Romulan.
this means, doesn't it? It means you need to buy more figurines.
But
Did you ever see... There was an engineering set that clipped onto the bridge.
Random Ferengi.
Oh, with do they have the little lasso, the whips?
Yeah, I've got the whips. Yeah, these are all in my bag, but in a box upstairs, I've got all the paraphernalia they came with, and they came with little whips and phasery things, and a little stamp-like thing, and a little stand to stand on, and all those sorts of things. So, Yeah, and the other figures I've got, of course, I can't do like who I go like, who is this?
Yeah, okay.
It's Picard.
Oh, you're gonna have to put that close to the camera. I can't really figure that one out.
You know.
Well, you can do a fastest finger first thing.
You
know, where
could
it's
do.
10 points
Yeah.
to the first person to get it.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
You know.
Isn't he random generic Klingon? Oh no, wait.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
that's
recognize
that's
that,
why
yeah.
I don't really get the figures out like that, because it's a bit difficult to do anything with them apart from show my geekiness, I guess.
Fair point.
And there you go. Yes. Okay, so I think that's about it for this evening. For this TNG review show. Thank you for everyone that's joining us. Thank you to my co-hosts, Mazima Bob, Chief Sean, and Tavikins Turner. Oh, that's weird. You're around the wrong way. Usually that way around. Yeah, that's better. Thank you to everyone in live chat that joined us this evening, including but not inclusive of Wookie, Supreme Panko. Welcome to Mickey for coming along, to Stu Plum, to I don't think there's anyone else really this evening.
Mickey popped by. Did you
Mickey,
mention?
I said Mickey, yeah. Yeah, because there's none of the other regulars popped by. So, well, thank you for you guys for coming and saying hello and joining us in our little quiz. I think this was a pretty cool episode to go through this evening. Look out, not this Friday, but the following Friday will be a Monty Zone at the end of the month. So check out that one this Friday. And, of course, we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 o'clock for another episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Thank you all for joining us, and good night.